It's WFUV New York, public media from Fordham University. Come for the music, stay for the community. Listen at 90.7 FM or at WFUV.org.
Welcome into another episode of One on One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. We are live from our studio here on the lovely Rose Hill campus of Fordham University, where I hopefully, don't want to jinx it, but I think it's finally stopped raining, and I am joined on this chilly but lovely Saturday morning by my co-hosts, Birne and Max Spitza, and we'll be keeping you entertained for the next couple of hours. How are we feeling today, gents?
Doing pretty good. Kind of just looking forward to going home for the first time in a while for Thanksgiving, so it gets something to look forward to.
Just looking forward to a quick little shout out Michelangelo's Chicken Marsala. Really looking forward to that. But besides that, it's beautiful out. If you like the rain and like not seeing the sun for 3 days straight.
Days on end. But I great shout out, Bradley. I also really want to go home. I cannot wait for Thanksgiving. Inarguably the greatest holiday of all time. What other excuse do you have to eat 6,000 calories in one sitting and then just sleep all day and watch football? What is there a better day? Is there a better day you could possibly come up with in your brain?
I guess maybe like Christmas, but I feel like it's 1A, 1B with Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but Christmas it's a little bit less acceptable to sit down at the table for like 6 hours straight and just keep on eating.
That's true. I feel like only at Thanksgiving you probably
That's like a Thanksgiving thing. Plus, at Christmas, if I eat 6 pieces of pumpkin pie, I'll get judged. At Thanksgiving, it's like, why haven't you eaten more?
Well,
eat more pumpkin pie.
You just need to start bringing it in. I bring it into the bathroom and eat it just so they stop counting once you get to like 2, 3 pieces. You just take it into another room and eat the rest of the pie.
Yeah, usually my goal is to be like, where did all the pumpkin pie go? Oh, Barret ate it all. That's usually where I'm at.
You gotta be discreet. So after like the third serving, you gotta be like more discreet about like you can't let people know that you're going back for extra.
True. Fun fact about pumpkin pie, actually. One year, my dog ate both of our pumpkin pies. We went outside to play a little bit of cornhole, come back in. We just have pie crust. All of the filling was scooped out by the dog.
Both
of them. I know. Yeah. He didn't eat for a couple days. He was a little full.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but this is a sports show, so we'll give you a little rundown on what we'll talk today. Obviously, it is the middle of a fall. It's a beautiful fall weekend, so we have college football. It is a November fall weekend, so college basketball has started. We've got a little bit of Knicks talk, a little bit of Nets talk, a little bit of a fun segment. We won't reveal it quite yet, but we got something entertaining for y'all. We've got Jets and Giants, unfortunately, and then we'll talk some NFL because we're getting into that time of year where division races are starting to play out. You got some interesting storylines. The Chiefs finally lost. Thank goodness. And then we also have a little interview from Fordham's brand new AD, Charles Guthrie, that we'll throw in there for you. Get to know Fordham's new AD. But that's kind of what we got as a rundown for you today. Boys, what is standing out to you? What is something, before we get into the segments that's specified, what is something you just got to get off your chest in the sports world today?
I feel like the Knicks are finally getting their rhythm going after kind of a little bit of a up and down. So I feel like they're finally starting to adjust. Cat has looked really good. The only thing that's really like concerning me is Mikal Bridges, but I feel like within a few weeks he'll get within the rhythm. But I'm really liking this Knicks team, and they're finally getting their act together.
I feel like Mikal Bridges has been a talking point since the season start. Well, really since preseason with the way his shots looked and all that. But I'll believe you. You're our resident Knicks expert. So if you think that he's going to get going, maybe he'll get going. Max, what do you got for us?
I mean, we're not going to, unfortunately, get into this today, but we were just talking about it. Perez is so bad at racing, he should retire since Verstappen is 60 points ahead of Norris, and Red Bull is in third place. Verstappen if he wins this weekend in Vegas, he clinches another
What is that, his
driver's
third straight?
Third straight. And Perez is sitting in the back, and they still are going to re-sign him because they put all these clauses in his contract and didn't follow any of them. And then they were like, it's fine.
Classic F1. They have so much money, they just kind of throw it at people, and yeah, whatever. We'll do what we do. Also, a bit of common theme in that sport is you don't really need to be good at the driving. People need to like you.
I don't think anyone likes Perez though. He's so bad.
Once upon a time, maybe. Once upon a time, he's riding high off the likability he had about 7,
Yeah,
8.
however long he's been in.
I don't know. Whenever Lewis Hamilton was dominating, that's when
Yeah.
people liked him. I don't know. For me personally, my sports take that we won't chat about too much today, but it's coming from the college football world. Texas A&M taking on Auburn in a night game. The SEC has once again conspired to screw A&M over, giving a night game on the road the week before they play Texas to go to the SEC championship game, while Texas gets to play in a day game, Kentucky at home. And A&M has to go on the road, 7 o'clock, to Jordan-Hare Stadium and play Auburn on the road. Seems like a little bit of a mess. But I will say it's been a long week, and this A&M Auburn game being a night game on the end of a Saturday is not making it any better, because now I just have to stress all day about what Marcel Reed is going to do, if he's going to pull it out, if old Mikey Elko is going to keep the train rolling, or if A&M is going to have another 8-4 season and everyone's going to say they're frauds like they usually are. And honestly, they might be. So I guess we'll figure that out today. I'm stressing, though. But next week I'm going to the A&M UT renewal of the rivalry. I could not be more excited. Got my ticket for free. Might flip it for $1,700. Who knows? People are taking out second mortgages on their home to go to that game, and I got my ticket for free. So I'm a little bit fired up. But that's next weekend. This weekend in college football, starting in about an hour, we've got one of the more exciting, anticipated games that'll really, I think, shape the college football playoff this year, because you've got an undefeated Indiana that's, who knows. But that's college football. We'll get into that a little bit later. What I do want to talk about now, though, is in the MLS. We've got a little bit of MLS playoffs that we're going to talk about, because our local MLS footy teams are playing today, yes. NYCFC versus the Red Bulls play at 5:30 in the conference semifinals of the Audi MLS Cup playoffs. So, just a little bit of local soccer news. What do we see happening there? I'll throw it over to Max, because I know you're our resident soccer guy.
It's gonna be a 2-1 win for NYFC. They're just keepers better, strikers are better. They're just a much better team. I think if Red Bull were to come out and win this game, it would be monumental for them, especially after they lost. I think it was like 5-1 to NYFC earlier in the season, and 2-1 to NYFC earlier in the season.
5-1.
Was it 5-1?
Yeah.
And then
not
the
the 10-1 or whatever you said.
I said 5-1.
Okay.
Yeah. It was 5-1, and then it was 2-1. It was the other time they played.
I heard 10-1, so I was like, that's a little crazy.
No, 5-1. But and they're playing in Citi Field. They're not playing at Yankee Stadium because of the Notre Dame game. So, I don't think it's going to be close. I think there is a situation where NYFC, if they win this game, can have home field advantage in the championship game, depending if Minnesota wins and goes through as well. So.
But yeah, I'll take your word for next. I'll go with NYCFC as well. NYCFC is also a higher seed, so if I was to pick, I'd probably go with the higher seed. And plus, you also said that they're playing at Citi Field, which maybe could give NYCFC a little bit of advantage. So I'll take your word for it, and I'll go with NYCFC.
There is also supposed to be a circus in the parking lot of Citi Field during the game. So,
What do you mean, a circus?
I think an actual circus.
Like a full-on, legitimate...
With fiery rings and
I hope
tigers
so.
and, elephants? And,
it's also,
like
you think
P.T.
about it,
Barnum?
they're gonna have a nice little field across the way from Citi Field soon. So,
acknowledge that shout-out, P.T.
No.
Barnum. The Greatest Showman. You seen that movie?
I was about to sing the song. I just kind of forgot the lyrics. But
I don't know if we can. That might get us copyrighted with your beautiful singing voice.
you're so right. Everyone
it's good
says
you
I sound
didn't.
like Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, it's good you didn't. Well, I don't know what just happened, honestly. We're talking about The Greatest Showman and P.T. Barnum and circuses in the parking lot of Citi Field. But that was a little bit of MLS Cup preview for y'all, because we're not going to be getting into it later. But that's just about all we got for the intro. So on the other side of this, we will have some college football for you. Well, it's been a great start. We've only just begun. On the other side of this break, the pillar of American sports, college football, Indiana at Ohio State is how we'll start it off. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to One on 90.7 and the WFUV Sports YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, it's Lou Orlando, one of your broadcasters for Fordham men's basketball on 90.7 FM. Treat yourselves this Thanksgiving. The Rams travel to Daytona Beach, Florida for the highly anticipated Sunshine Slam next week. So mark your calendars. Fordham bows Penn State on Monday, November 25th at 4 p.m. before facing the winner of Clemson and San Francisco in the afternoon on Tuesday, November 26th. Both games will be broadcast live on the WFUV Sports YouTube page. Don't miss two of the biggest matchups of the season. WFUV Sports is the home of Fordham basketball.
And we are back to One on One. Feel free to call in at 718-817-2750. Once again, if you got anything to get off your chest, 718-817-2750. Let's get right into our college football slate with some massive playoff implications. Starting off in the big noon kickoff, we got number 5 Indiana at number 3 Ohio State. I will let you take this away, Bradley. Let's hear what you got for us.
Honestly, first off, big noon kickoff ruined this game.
Thank you.
They should have swapped this with the Texas A&M game. They should have put Texas A&M versus Auburn at 12 o'clock just so you don't have to be stressing out the whole day.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't have gotten to watch the game, and then I'd be stressing out even more, and you'd get like random shouts in the middle of the show, like "Yes, go!"
No, that's true. But
some other explicit thing.
This should be at 7:30 with its own like time slot. That's
standalone. Like 7 o'clock. This and like the Hawaii game at the same time.
It seems like they've done this so many times this year, though, where they just mess with the scheduling.
It's Fox's stupid
they
TV
did it with
rights. I mean, I understand it. It's because Fox wanted the lone time slot, and so that's what they paid for. And all the Big Ten games, the biggest Big Ten game of the week is always the big noon kickoff. But I mean, college football is so much better under the lights, always.
100%.
So to have these big matchups consistently be at 12 o'clock, the first game of the day, you got, drunk college kids still filing in at the end of the first quarter because, they woke up an hour ago or they woke up 7 hours ago and they're, asleep in the parking lot. Either way, the night games, you give them a little bit of time to get a quick nap in and then they're ready to go. But also the atmosphere is always so much better. It feels like the teams, like, the night game has such a mental effect, and the games always, visually they look better, and just also like quality. It seems all around the product seems better for a night game, and so when you have this big noon kickoff, it seems like it takes a lot of the hype out of it.
They've ruined like every Big Ten game. They've ruined
especially
Penn State versus Ohio State. That should have been. That's probably one of the biggest matches of the year. That should have been that night.
Especially because you now have the Pac-12 or former Pac-12 teams in it. So, you got half these big noon kickoff games starting at 10 o'clock local time, or 9 o'clock local time. You've got 11 o'clock local time for a lot of these, Big Ten schools because it's Midwest. It's like the biggest game of the week should not be starting at 9 o'clock local time or 11 o'clock local time. Give me at least a 4:30.
Like, people are probably still waking up, and they're probably not even, like, they're at the game. Like, if you're an Ohio State student, you're probably like just waking up like in the middle of the first quarter, and then you're probably not getting there until around middle of the second. So I just don't get why Fox continues to ruin the Big Ten for all college football fans.
because they paid a lot of money for it. But, what really irked me, I think, was that, who was it? Pate? Is it Josh Pate? No, that's the Fox guy, whatever his name is. Joel Klatt, maybe? I think it's Joel Klatt. He came out with, like, this big statement about why Big Noon Kickoff is a great thing, and it's like,
Nobody cares.
you don't even believe that. I get you're getting paid for this, but I know you don't even believe that. So let's don't virtue signal with, this is actually great for the sport, and, we have. He said something along the lines of, before we had Big Noon Kickoff, no one watched the noon slate, and now everyone watches the noon slate. And it's like, well, yeah, everyone watches it because it's Indiana versus Ohio State. It's 5 versus 3. What am I going to do? Not watch the biggest game of the weekend?
It's a bid for the Big Ten championship game, too.
Of course I'm going to watch the 12 o'clock slate. I'm not going to watch the biggest game of the weekend. So to say, we saved the 12 o'clock slate, no, you just took all of the biggest games that everyone watched at 7 o'clock and moved them up to 12 o'clock. So, yeah, maybe more people than before watched the 12 o'clock, but you're not getting as many eyes as, you would get at the 7 o'clock. So the virtue signaling and just shut up and watch the game, it's stupid. You're ruining the sport with Big Noon Kickoff. I hate it. There's literally nothing I hate more.
They spoil the SEC with primetime games, too. The SEC is always
because
getting
ESPN does it right. ESPN knows that's where the viewership is. It's prime time for a reason. 12 o'clock is not a primetime game, and 5 versus 3 should never happen at 12 o'clock. But the actual game, let's get into the actual game now. Big implications for Indiana. If they win, they're in the Big Ten championship. If they lose, I don't think they should be anywhere near the playoff. Their strength of schedule is 106th in the nation out of 131 teams. I
think their strength of...
If you go undefeated in the Big Ten, you should be in the playoff.
Oh, 100%. And I don't think
if you have a bottom 25 schedule in the country, with whether you have 1 loss or 2 losses, I don't care how many losses you have. If you have the 106th schedule in the country, you just shouldn't be anywhere near the playoff because you're not one of the best 12 teams in the country. Especially, I hate to be one of those, it just means more SEC guys. But I was talking about this with Max last night. There's six. We'll say 6. I'll say 6. 6 SEC teams that I think are better than every single team in the Big 12, and I think every team but 2 in the Big 10. And I think you can make an argument about. Yeah, 2. We'll go 2.
Who are the 2 Big Ten teams, if you don't mind me asking?
Ohio State and Oregon. But I honestly would make an argument against Ohio State because the way they played this year, it's just very inconsistent, right? They have the best skill positions, offensive skill positions in the country, I think. I think there's an argument to be made, but they have the best running back duo in the country in Quinshon Judkins and, what's it? I'm blanking. But... What is his name? Ohio State running back.
Travion Henderson.
Travion Henderson, there we go, who I'm a big fan of. I think he's actually, besides Ashton Genty, I think he's probably the second, third best running back in the country. I think he's better than Quinshon Judkins. But best running back tandem in the country. They have just absolute studs, 1 through 6 at wide receiver. Best offensive skill positions in the country. Will Howard is good enough to win.
He's solid.
He's good enough. So, Ohio State, it's just a consistency thing for Ohio State. They played some really bad-looking games. They played a good enough game to beat Penn State.
It was kind of the flukiest...
I don't know if they did play a good enough game to beat Penn State. I would argue they didn't, and I don't think they should have beaten Penn State. And I've said this before on the college football podcast. I don't think Penn State's very good. So the fact that I don't think Ohio State was good enough to beat Penn State on the day, and they still did, they pulled it out. They have the win. They're the number 3 team in the country. Good for them. They have probably a top 2 talented roster in the country. So I think it's going to come down to Ryan Day being a bottom 15 Power 5 coach. He's horrible. He's really bad. Or I guess Power 4. But he's 65-9 in 5 seasons. Good for the best record in the last 5. He has the highest winning percentage of any active Power 4 coach. But he's 2-4 in bowl games / college football games. 3-6 versus top 5 teams. 11-8 versus the top 10, and 19-9 versus the top 25.
It kind of takes a dip off after that.
If he plays good teams, he's not very good. He's not very good against good teams. He beats up on the bad Big Ten teams, which is a thing people have been saying forever. Is that the Big Ten's not very deep. They've always been top heavy. 1, 2, sometimes 3 in the Big Ten have always been elite teams. The best of the best. But after that, it's been whatever.
It takes a major dip after
So
after Penn State because they're the third highest ranked Big Ten
Yeah.
school, it just takes a huge dip.
It just
and
goes
I just don't
downhill,
think
and
I don't think Indiana's a part of that top heavy
Yeah.
in terms of like talent in the Big Ten. In my opinion, I think this game really won't be close. But
Yeah, and so I mean that's is Ryan Day has made his name off of beating up on a weaker Big Ten schedule, and once he plays these top teams, he struggles. He got his third win versus a top 5 team against Penn State. I mean, I think he'll get his 4th now because Indiana I don't think deserves to be a top 5 team. I
I
think
agree
you could argue they
100%.
don't deserve to be a top 10 team. I have them personally somewhere around 15.
Thank you.
But-
I'm glad that someone actually agrees with me. I feel like Indiana, you can't have 100. You said 106.
106 out of
106
131.
strength of schedule would be the top 5. I feel like if you're anything below like maybe 80 is maybe being generous. I feel like
I have a rough time ranking Texas where they are, and their strength of schedule is 55th.
and that's worse than I think Penn State and Ohio State, I believe. So the fact that Texas is
It's somewhere on this. Ohio State's is higher because they've played Oregon and they've played Penn State, but
it'd be kind of
Penn State's is not great either because Penn State's really only played Ohio State.
yeah, but like I feel like people don't talk enough about Texas's schedule. Like they really don't.
In the SEC circles, you hear it because
Because it's the SEC, it's
Texas.
like really
Texas
tough.
is a
but
team I would have somewhere around 8 personally myself. What are they? I think they're 2.
They're 3. They're just behind Ohio State, I think.
Are you looking at the AP or I'm talking college football rankings?
Oh,
Texas is 2.
There's it's so confusing. There's like AP poll. There's a
Yeah,
college
I mean,
football.
and then you have the coaches poll as well. There's like 50,000 polls that honestly don't ever mean anything until the last week of the season, in which we'll see Army as the 12th team in the country because let's go, I support the troops. But
So-
yeah, it's an interesting, people say that's why you play the games, but at the end of the day, I could go out and schedule, 12. I could go schedule McNeese and New Mexico State and a Mercer, and then play, an ACC schedule and play Wake Forest and all those subpar ACC teams and go 12-0 and then win the ACC championship, and I'm 13-0 and I've played 0 ranked teams, and I'm 13-0. That's why you play the games. Yeah, but I didn't play anybody, and that's kind of where I think we're at with Indiana, and honestly a little bit with like teams like Miami as well. We're not even going to talk about the ACC because
I still think SMU should be over.
I 100%. SMU is the best team in the ACC, and
100%.
I think SMU is arguably the only good team in the ACC because Miami is just. We're not going to get into Miami today because I have a lot of feelings on Miami, and the fact I've had a lot of feelings on Miami because they should arguably they could have 3 losses right now, and it's
Yeah, they've like barely been squeaking out some of these.
they've relied on Cam Ward being
Heisman candidate.
they've relied on Cam Ward being astronomically better than everybody else on the field, and it's good enough. But when just the team isn't great, I don't think Cristobal's that great. Speaking of great coaches, though, for Indiana, I do think Kurt Signetti, what he's done, has been great coming from JMU. You can't fault Indiana, right? They've beaten who is in front of them, but the teams in front of them haven't been good enough to justify a number 5 ranking, especially when you have probably 7 to 10 teams that I would put in front of them.
It's kind of like the same thing with like BYU. Like the only thing that's really
It's not the same thing with BYU because BYU is even worse. Like BYU is actually.
But I
a
feel
bad
like
team.
record was the only reason why that they were kept where they were, in terms of like their spot in the poll. But like, this will be a test to see if Indiana is. I don't think they're legit at all. But if Indiana could somehow win this game, then I feel like they've.
If they could, I don't know if they have to necessarily win. I think they just need to not get completely blown out. Because if they lose away at Ohio State, I mean, it's expected. Like you're not
Like if they lose by like a
expected to win.
touchdown, or like a field goal, like I feel like
That's like a pretty impressive
pretty
game for them.
impressive, like-
Or it's a really
I'm not-
bad game from Ohio State.
I'm not super familiar with Big Ten tiebreakers. So with
it's all
one win,
confusing, but
I have no idea. It's like your opponent's conference win percentage, and then like who your opponent's lost to's conference win percentage, and there's like 17 tiebreakers, and then all of a sudden it's like, what was your head coach's high school record as a quarterback? I don't know. That's like the 17th tiebreaker. I don't know, and that's what they get into. But if Indiana loses this game and then misses out on the Big Ten championship game, they have a path. If they go to the Big Ten championship game and they get boat raced by Oregon,
they're not getting.
they're
into the
out. They don't
bracket.
deserve it. I think Indiana's best shot is winning this game. The issue is if they win this game,
Ohio State's season could be also on the line if they lose this game.
Ohio State season could be on the line,
Because
but
you got
Indiana
all
also
these-
then makes the Big Ten championship if they win this game, and then if they lose that, with the bad strength of schedule, the committee could find a way to drop them out, especially if the SEC, all hell breaks loose in the SEC, which is liable to happen. Some things could go wrong for Indiana even if they win this game, but win this game, I would say they're probably 90% in. Lose this game, they're 90% out.
Because I feel like, imagine if Ohio State loses this game, you have all these SEC schools with 2 losses. How will the committee rank Ohio State? Because we think Indiana is a fraud, but the committee sees something in Indiana that I personally don't. So Ohio
I
State
don't
with 2
even know
losses,
if they do. I think they're just looking at the record and be like, we can't not rank them
Ohio
because
State
they got
with 2 losses is
crucified
interesting,
for
though.
You have to
they got
rank them. It's
crucified
also
for
like
Florida State last year.
it's like a historic organization, historic school, and all that. Like
Ohio
they
State?
kind of Indiana.
Indiana, yeah.
Yeah, like they kind of 10-0. Like you kind of have to give it to them.
Yeah.
But definitely, if they lose it, like the committee's 100% just gonna.
I
boot
think
them
the
out.
committee's having a little bit of
crisis.
I feel like
well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions here with Florida State, reminiscent of Florida State last year in which they went undefeated and missed the playoffs. I think the committee kind of feels like they have to rank Indiana where they are because they're undefeated,
Yeah.
and so they feel a little bit pressured into that. But speaking of other first Ohio State, we all have Ohio State winning. I
Yeah,
have Ohio State winning by 3
100%.
touchdowns. I don't think it's
Yeah,
gonna be close.
100%.
I think it's gonna be like 40-16 or something. Like I don't think it's gonna be close at all.
Those ESPN statistics are just like, I just don't get them sometimes. Like some teams could be like, have like 73% chance to win, and then they just lose by like 20.
Yeah. ESPN sucks.
Oh, you see it. You see it even more on like the postseason baseball,
Yeah.
where it's like they score a run and they do the little percentage
And
thing.
like
I
percent
just-
chance to win,
Yeah, it's like-
75% chance. It's the first inning.
it's the
It
first
was the
inning.
first
It's like
pitch of the game you hit a
1-0.
home run on. What do you mean? What do you mean it's a 75%
Their percentages
chance to
never
win?
make
ESPN is
sense.
great for hosting primetime slots, but they're terrible with statistics.
Yeah.
They just throw it into some like random calculator generator thing. and
ESPN, the
just-
worldwide leader in poorly broadcast sports. Yeah, I don't know. But Ohio State, we all have them winning. On to another fraudulent team. We have number 14 BYU at number 21 Arizona State for a BYU clinches. Yes, BYU clinches with a win and a Utah loss. They would be the first team to clinch in the Big 12 if they win and Utah wins. Oh, sorry, and a Utah win. Utah's got to beat Iowa State. If Arizona State wins, they control their own destiny in a rivalry game next week against U of A,
which they will lose.
which
Yeah,
historically the better team loses that game. Historically, the team having a better season loses that game because I don't really know what's in the water down in Arizona. They got some weird folk down there.
Is it a home game for U of A or is it?
Yeah, it's at U of A.
So it's in the dirty T, right? Yeah, they're definitely.
It's in the
losing that
dirty
game.
T.
That's what they call it. That's what we call it down in Arizona.
That's
Except
what
unless
they
you're in-
call it. You and your friends from fellow affluent neighborhoods.
No, just everyone who's not in Tucson is like, this is this is the worst. I love.
Why
their
is
stadium,
that?
Though. I don't even know. Like, it's actually very nice around campus too. Like, their stadium is perfectly situated in campus, and it's like a very very nice stadium. But they just think the nickname they've been given. We were talking about it. I was telling you about the billboard.
Yep. The no pity for the kitty.
The no pity for the kitty billboard that they used to have up after ASU beat U of A. Once again, U of A having a much better season that year, and ASU comes out and beats them like 70-16 or something, and they have a billboard for like 3 years straight that just says no pity for the kitty on the way down to Tucson with the score, and that's all it's sat up there until obviously U of A beat them like 59-16 last year, but.
Yeah, but this game is one that kind of I think will decide the Big 12 because if BYU loses, they still have a shot outside.
I don't think so, because with so many teams like with 2 losses, and plus if you have Ohio State.
No.
So-
Not to make the playoff.
Oh.
They have a shot to make the Big 12.
Big
There
12.
will not be an at-large Big 12
Oh,
team.
I thought you meant the bracket. I'm like with all
No,
the,
no,
like, okay,
absolutely not.
You scared me for a second. I was ready to
no.
like have a panic attack if you said that BYU could still make
No,
the
no.
12 team.
They have an outside shot to still make the Big 12 championship game
Okay,
if they
cool.
lose this.
You got me for a second. I thought you said that BYU still has a chance in the.
Oh, absolutely not. Low-key, I would throw them out even if they win the Big 12 championship. I don't know. Change the rules. They don't deserve There's no
when
Big 12
Arizona
team
State, who was a 3-9 team the last 2 years,
And now all of a sudden,
is now might
Trust
be in
in
the
Kenny
Big 12
Dillingham, baby.
championship.
Kenny Dillingham, great coach.
I think it's more Scatterborough is just a stud.
Scatterbo, yeah, he's good.
Stud.
Sam Levitt, very
Sam-
attractive
oh my-
young man.
I mean,
Very attractive young man.
Imagine walk in, you're like, dude, like for a couple years, my team, I'm not going to be any big games. I'm a freshman quarterback. No big games coming up.
now ASU
And now
is
you're
on the
and now
brink of
it's-
the
yeah,
Big 12
the Big 12
championship.
championship. It's like what? Couldn't win in the Pac-12, and all of a sudden you put him in the Big 12, and it's.
And then they're just
He was never in the
Dominating.
Pac-12. Fun fact.
I know he wasn't, but I'm saying
Yeah.
ASU.
Oh, okay.
that's crazy that ASU went from 3-9 last year to literally
3-9 2 years in a row, even.
2 years in a row to now on the brink of one game away from the Big 10.
Kenny
championship.
Dillingham, magic baby. He's a great coach. Sam Levitt. This would be a fun game for him because both his dad and
He
his
was
brother.
supposed to go to BYU, yeah.
He was committed to BYU at one point. Both his dad and his brother played there, so a little bit of an interesting dynamic there. You've got the guy who was probably supposed to be BYU's quarterback versus a guy in Jake Retzlaff who is the antithesis of everything a BYU quarterback you would think is the first Jewish player I think for BYU. Definitely the first Jewish starting quarterback. He's fun fact. He's a bottom 15 quarterback in the country against the blitz, but a top 10 quarterback in the country against normal pressure rate. And Arizona State blitzes at a rate 110th in the country. So if Arizona State doesn't change their game plan at all, Jake Retzlaff is going to go off because he's great if he's not getting blitzed, which Arizona State does not do at all. But if Arizona State decides to change the game plan, blitz a little bit, Retzlaff is a horrendous quarterback against the blitz. So that'll be probably the difference in this game is whether or not Arizona State can make some tweaks to their defensive game plan because offensively I think Arizona State's got it. And Sam Levitt, good quarterback. Cam Scatterbo, electric running back, electric to watch.
Absolute.
That guy just runs
people.
through an MFer's face. I don't know if I can say that. We might have to, whatever. Sorry, I'll take that. But it's a lot of win this game and then sit around and wait for both of these teams because you've got 4 teams at the top of the Big 12 here in BYU, Arizona State, Iowa State, and then Colorado, who Max and I both talked about this. They have to play the spoilers that are Kansas, who I think just last week literally came out and said, our only goal is to make sure everybody loses. We had a horrible season, and our only goal is to make sure everyone else hates themselves as much as we do. That's essentially what they came out and said is, we hate ourselves, we're a horrible team, we hope everyone feels as bad as we do when we beat the brakes off of them. And that's what they did to BYU. That's what they're looking to do to Colorado. I think Colorado's probably the best team in the Big 12, honestly.
Yeah.
Iowa State, I think, is a little bit fraudulent. BYU is 100% fraudulent.
Oh, 100%.
Arizona State is a fun story. They have the talent. Kenny Dillingham, great coach. Sam Levitt, good quarterback. Cam Scatterbo, electric. But for the Big 12's best interest, I think it's in their best interest that Colorado wins because, again, they're only going to get one team in the college football playoff. So I think it's in their best interest that Colorado wins it because I think they're the best team, and obviously you want your conference to do as well as possible. But this is it's a somewhat played out to where this is almost a semifinal matchup in the Big 12, whereas like the winner is probably going to go to the Big 12 championship. The loser seems to be out. Luckily, Iowa State does play Utah, who has had a horrible season, but was obviously the projected winner of the Big 12 coming in. Colorado plays Kansas, who has had a bad season, but again, just beat BYU. So there's a little bit of hope in the air for the loser a little bit, but obviously both teams control their own destiny. So if they win, they win. And if you lose, you kind of just got to throw up a prayer, which will be pretty easy for BYU.
Honestly, I can see Arizona State pulling this off against BYU, and then, Arizona State just kind of waits out, and then they're in the Big 12 championship. I don't think BYU's win this game, honestly.
No, I think it'll be close, and then Arizona State's going to probably score 2, maybe 3 touchdowns.
They're just going to go off in this. It's
I
gonna
think it'll be a
close.
real low-scoring game until the fourth quarter, and then I think Arizona State probably scores 2 or 3
blows
wins.
the doors off of
Wins like
BYU.
28-13, 27-13.
Especially it's a home game for Arizona State.
Yeah, so
It'll be a game that like sneaky is really close, and then at the end you look at the scoreboard and you're like, wow, Arizona State kind of blew them out, but they didn't. I think it'll also be kind of an ugly game because it tends to be how the Big 12 works.
Actually, I'm looking at it right now. This is exactly how my first season of college football went when I was ASU.
You mean your only season of college football? Because
My only
you don't
season of
play
college
more than
football.
one. You play
My
college
only
football
season of
dynasties
college
and then
football
only
as
play
Arizona
one season.
State. We were in the exact
You
same
don't even get to
position
the off-season.
right in this spot right here. You don't need it. You don't need the off
The
season.
whole point is to recruit.
If you win the championship, there's no reason for an off season. You
You're
retire.
a recruiting head coach, and you can't even get to the off season.
I'm a
to
motivator.
recruit.
I'm a motivator. Head coach.
Yeah, you don't play the game
I care
the right
about
way.
a heart.
You don't
all
play
right?
the game
I care
the right
about
way.
a heart.
I mean, I feel like
No integrity. You don't play the game the right way.
the end goal is just to win it all. I feel like I'm kind of have to.
You win it all. You
You could
retire.
never play for the Yankees because you don't play the right way. Derek Jeter would hate you. No integrity, nothing. Speaking of integrity, look at this transition, huh? Number 18 Army at number 6 Notre Dame. A definition of integrity between these two teams, huh? You got the troops who we're all supporting. I hope they beat the brakes off of Notre Dame. Versus Notre Dame at Yankee Stadium. I've been debating for the last couple days whether I last second buy a ticket. I have no idea what the ticket
Just go get
prices
some
are.
Nosebleed
Go
tickets.
freeze my butt off at Yankee Stadium. Probably going to be raining again because it hasn't stopped raining in days. But maybe go stand, sing the national anthem with a bunch of the cadets. No, that's Navy. What do they call?
Ooh.
Are they cadets at Army?
Cadets?
Or is
I
are
can
they
text
cadets at
my
Navy?
friends there at West Point. I can text him. He's probably gone.
Are they cadets?
I feel like I don't want to say it wrong and then
I don't know.
embarrass myself. But
I'm a well-educated
We'll figure it
American,
out.
so I obviously don't know anything. American school system. Thank you very much. But this game, number 18 Army,
It'd be cadets.
they are cadets. So
Yeah.
what is Navy?
I think Navy's also cadets.
I don't.
is it
think
all
so.
just cadets?
No, they're on boats, dude. They got some special.
Sailors, pre-sailors,
Not the sailors, not the pre-sailors either.
dry land sailors. I don't know. Thinking about it too, Notre Dame did beat
They destroyed Navy.
So
Navy,
I mean, they're already Army's got to avenge them. You know what I mean? It's got to avenge the U.S.
No, honestly, I don't even think Notre Dame really should be in the 12th team after losing to Northern Illinois at home. I
think a lot of people are forgetting that
I
they
went-
lost to Northern
I
Illinois
went,
at
no,
home.
I went a huge
What are we
rant
doing?
of
They lost to the worst team in the MAC at home,
no, but
and they're the 6th team in the country. No, they're not the 6th team.
I
in the
went a
country.
huge
They're
rant
horrible.
on College Gridiron, and I talked about how Notre Dame should not be in the 12th team because Northern Illinois, obviously,
Midshipmen.
teams. Midshipmen.
That's what Navy are called. Midshipmen. Midshipmen.
Midshipmen. I was kind of close. Pre-sailors.
Not even.
Midshipmen.
Sorry for cutting you off, Bradley.
No,
Let's
it's
hear it.
fine.
What do you got?
But Notre Dame, you're one of the most storied college football franchises in America. I get it. You're supposed to be upset once every few years, but Northern
Not
Illinois,
the Northern Illinois.
that's the bottom of the barrel upset.
Get out of here with that.
Northern Illinois, they probably play football and then they just go back and read Shakespeare or something. That's how bad losing.
I don't think they read Shakespeare.
I
at
think it's
Northern
one of-
Illinois.
I think it's
Sorry,
one of
hate to
those-
do this. I don't think that.
I
they're
mean,
reading
whatever they
Shakespeare
do,
at
but
Northern
that is
Illinois.
crazy. Notre Dame, and I think they were the 4th or the 5th.
70% acceptance rate. They're definitely not reading Shakespeare.
No, but on the preseason poll, I think they were Notre Dame's 4th or 5th on the poll, going into the season, and then you just
I think they were
lose
6th.
so
So they actually haven't
whatever.
moved.
Well, whatever. That loss to Northern Illinois is just a major turnoff for me. I would have sent Notre Dame
It's-
to the bottom of the poll.
As an A&M fan, I love it though because Notre Dame's 6 and we lost. to the
The
6th in
committee
country.
still needs to put
Th-
Notre
there's
Dame
a lot
in.
wrong with
it's,
the,
it's one of those.
committee
It's same thing as Indiana, where it's you want a team like this because it also Notre Dame in the playoffs just sells viewership.
You know what
and
else sells?
tickets.
You know what else sells? Army in the playoffs.
Army does sell in the playoffs.
So
Army could.
you know why?
there's a
Because every
shot.
red-blooded American will tune into every single Army game.
Who would you go for though? Texas A&M or Army?
Ooh.
A&M.
I mean,
Really-
he's a Texan. He's a Texan.
A&M
He's a
first.
Texan, but you're gonna go against the Army like that?
A&M's basically a military school.
Basically.
It really much is.
Third most graduates in the military or some stupid stat like that. I don't know. That's what the propaganda they spread at that cult school is, but who knows? I don't know. I'm fully bought in on A&M, so I'm not going to talk down too much on them. However, we will actually talk a little bit about this game and not just whatever we've been talking about. Notre Dame
Should
has
be on the poll, but
What?
I said it shouldn't be even.
Yeah.
Shouldn't even be like anywhere near like 6. Honestly, can we just put Army in the 12th team? Like,
Yeah, I think we should just do it de facto.
Can we
'cause
just
this
swap?
is awesome.
Put
But-
Notre Dame in Army spot.
No matter how they play today, we're just gonna slap. Army's just gonna be that 12th team. We've decided for the committee. We'll send them a request, and Army's gonna be the 12th team.
You can't do the Army like that. You got to put him in the 12th team. Like you can't like disappoint all of America but leave them out.
I have Notre Dame in this game, I will say, but I think Notre Dame's offense has been real suspect at times. The other thing is Notre Dame's defense, while elite, is significantly better against the pass than they are against the run. And as we know, service academies do not throw the ball very much. Although this year Army does throw it a little bit more. But Notre Dame, number 3 defense in the country versus the pass, number 38 versus the run. Army's like the best rushing team in the country besides from Boise State. So there's that. If Army can establish the run early and keep Riley Leonard in the pocket, I think they have a good shot. I do think Notre Dame pulls this out late, one-score game, 31-26, 31-28, field goal, some weird fluky things happen, maybe a safety, hopefully a safety. I love safeties. Hopefully that happens. It's in a baseball stadium, so someone's probably going to run into a wall because there's no space on the field whenever
Someone's
they do
gonna
that.
tear an ACL.
There's going to be some stupid
Some
touchdown catch in the
injury.
corner that you can't see because the camera angle's cut off because, again, it's in a
And
baseball stadium.
Not
and
only
it's
is
not
it in a
meant for
baseball
that.
stadium, it's also raining. So
Yeah,
the temporary grass.
The
they're
field
putting in is
conditions are
not
going to be
gonna
horrible.
great.
I don't know. It's going to be an ugly game. I don't know. That is all the time we have for college football. Before we send it to break, here's a rundown of some other pretty important games this weekend. You got number 9 Ole Miss at Florida. You've got number 16 Colorado at the Spoilers, Kansas. Number 7 Alabama at Oklahoma. Number 15 Texas A&M at Auburn. And number 22 Iowa State at Utah. All their games and a few kicking off in just a few minutes, 20-ish minutes, 19. They always kick off late, so probably, like 25 at this point. But I know you'd rather listen to us right here, so as we talk a little bit of college basketball on the other side of this break, don't go anywhere. This is 90.7 WFUV Sports.
What's up, everyone? I'm Lou Orlando.
And I'm Evan Harkin. We're your broadcasters for the 2024 Fordham football season.
The Rams chase a Patriot League title led by league-leading quarterback C.J. Montez and a host of talent, including James Conway, Niall Perkins, and Garrett Cody.
You can catch all of the games this season right here on 90.7 FM and the WFUV Sports YouTube page.
WFUV Sports, your home for Fordham football.
Welcome home, Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful. Discovery 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions. Liftoff of mission 41B, the first flight of the orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery Houston, trim to ATO. Nice to be in orbit. Beautiful, beautiful.
Welcome back to 90.7 WFUV Sports. This is One-on-One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. It is time for a little bit of college basketball Feast Week preview. The most electric time in college basketball before March. So, it's real electric time about 3 weeks into the season. And then you go about 3.5 months of it's college basketball's on. I guess I'll throw that on at 1 in the morning when I've got nothing else to do and I can't sleep. And then you get into the most electric sport in the whole entire world, March Madness. But that's a couple weeks away, months away. We've got Feast Week coming up. I guess Feast Week's already started. You got some of those tournaments starting up. yesterday. Thursday, I think, is actually when they started up. Last night, you had some pretty electric games. We had number 19 Wisconsin at UCF. Kind of blew them out. So it wasn't as enticing of a game as I hoped because, I thought UCF was going to be pretty decent this year because they had a pretty hot start. They've played some pretty good games or pretty good teams. We had number 22 St. John's really just asserting their dominance over a UVA team who people, not very high hopes for this season, but they had started out pretty well. You had a now 4-1 Nebraska team just kind of end-to-end, start to finish, assert their dominance over a number 14 Creighton team who, Ryan Kalkbrenner had looked like probably the best player in the country through the first couple, or one of the better players in the country. I won't say the best, but, top 5 player in the country through their first, 4-ish games, and then just absolutely silenced last night. Nebraska really wasn't as close as the scoreline looked, and the scoreline didn't look all that close anyways. It was an 11-point game. Nebraska in full control of that game. You had number 13 Baylor at number 11 Tennessee, which is, I know, a game Max is very excited to talk about. I don't think it's excited in a good way, but he's real excited to talk about it. And then you had number 12 Duke at number 17 Arizona, which was actually a very good game to watch. Today, you're going to have number 22 St. John's taking on Georgia in a couple of hours. And then Monday, you're going to have number 4 Auburn taking on number 5 Ohio State, and Dayton taking on number 10 UNC. So I'll throw it over to Max. Where do you want to start us off with a little bit of college basketball?
Let's go to the Badgers just to start it off.
Wisconsin?
Let's go
start a little
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
I mean, they needed. I'm looking at their schedule, right? They beat U of A earlier in the year, upset them. Until their Marquette game, they're kind of just needing to do this week in and week out, right? Like, dominate against these teams that they're definitely much better than. Because they play down to these teams. It's going to get rough when they have to play Marquette, then they have like a game in between Indiana and then a game in between Purdue. So if they're able to continuously do this week in and week out, they're going to be looking a lot better. I mean, it was a quick, I think, when March Madness, when the first round last year for March Madness exit for them?
For
Wisconsin?
I think, yeah.
I think this is definitely one of those seasons that it's like, this is going to decide the program for the next couple of years. And I think they showed that against UCF, which you were saying, great team. Like, they're probably one of the better non-ranked
great
teams.
team, but a good team.
Like
better
than
win against A&M,
like
big
the
win against
non-ranked
FAU.
teams that they're going to be playing, like one of the better non-ranked teams.
I mean,
they're going to be playing
they had a
throughout the year.
huge win against A&M first game of the season. They had a big win, 100-90 something against FAU. 94, I believe they beat FAU. So that's a good, FAU always a scrappy team, always a good team. But then they came into this game. I had high hopes. I thought we could see an upset here. Never really even looked like it was going to happen once tip-off happened. But Wisconsin did what they needed to. They came out, controlled the game. Really never allowed it to be close. Up 15 at half, and then just kind of coasted for the second half. Still won the second half. There's not really much else to say about that game. In that, there was nothing. No one had like a super standout performance scoring-wise. Just a great team win for Wisconsin. UCF, I don't think they played defensively. UCF did not play well. I will say I did not like the way that they defended really anything. They just get way too many open shots for UCF, and I think in a Big 12 that's really about the Big 12 is a dogfight, and when you have a team like U of H who's going to just put you in clamps all night, you've got to also be able to defend on the other side if you want to have any hope. And so, if you can't play, a 55-52 game, you don't really have a hope. In the way they defended last night, UCF can't play those games. So,
It was, I think, a record-breaking game, though, for Wisconsin. I think it was the most games in a row with, 75-plus points or something like that. Some weird stat.
They've also played a lot of games already. 6 games?
6 games, yeah.
Which is crazy.
No
They
tournament.
started 2 weeks ago.
6 games and no tournaments. Those are all just regular games.
Well, to be fair, they just started the tournament last night.
That's
The
true.
Greenbrier Tip-Off Mountain Division. That's what that game was.
That's a
That's
really
what it was.
interesting name.
What are you laughing about? That's what it's called. The Greenbrier Tip-Off, Mountain Division. Just like Fordham plays in the Sunshine Slam Beach Division.
Yeah, but this is
On
Wisconsin.
campus.
Wisconsin. Wait, no. Fordham played in the Sunshine Slam campus game. Then on Monday they play in the Sunshine Slam. I wish we had Sunshine here. Beach Division, because they have to have these weird names for all these games. Just play the basketball game. Just give me the Maui Gym Invitational.
Just
Just
put
give me
them.
the
Just put in some
the
in
Baja
some
Mar
random
Classic.
ballroom. Put them in a ballroom.
put them in a ballroom.
Slap a basketball and just say, "Hey, this is a basketball game." This is
Can I
what's
ask a
gonna happen
question?
today."
Why are we going to like the Bahamas and Maui and Hawaii and then playing inside? Give me an outside game, please.
Honestly, that's
Well, why are we going-
You're in the Bahamas and you're playing an indoor basketball game.
Yeah, I might as well go to I don't know, Newfoundland. I don't know. It might as well be snowing, and I might as well not be able to go outside. Let me go play in Anchorage if I'm going to play inside.
Like-
right?
They should play
I'm
in the
Bahamas.
Coliseum.
Let me be outside.
They should have him go play in the Coliseum
They
right
played
in the
that
middle.
one game on the aircraft carrier. What was that? A couple years ago? 5 years ago? or
Yeah,
That was
something like
pretty
that?
cool, though.
Then
It didn't
they're
work 'cause-
Never doing that again.
Yeah, well, it was on a boat. The boats were moving.
The boats
Obviously,
moving.
it
They
didn't work.
had that. What else was it? It was like the court just kept getting because of how huge. I mean, you're
Yeah.
on the ocean. Like
It was horrible.
it was getting. Everyone was slipping.
Yeah,
it
but
was
it's the
terrible.
Bahamas. I mean, it's an island, but it's not moving. So
But,
you can play an outside game.
And it's some of the nicest weather in the entire world. And you're
Plus, it's
playing
the
in an air
Bahamas. Let me go outside.
Like
Why am I inside? Play the game outside. What's the point of going to the Bahamas? As a Fordham student, I don't pay all this tuition and donate all this money to the NIL fund to send them to the Bahamas last year and then not even play outside. Let me see something entertaining. Not this stupid small gym that seats 75 people and watch Fordham lose to Norfolk State. Sorry, that was really bad last year. No one cares about Fordham basketball, to be honest, and so we will not talk about them. We'll just talk about the St. John's game in which they boat raced UVA. I don't know. Did you watch that one, Bradley? Or
I did. R.J. Lewis Jr. is an absolute
stud.
bucket. He is an absolute stud. And
Massachusetts UMass transfer, former A10 guy.
yes, sir.
I
And
believe. Yeah.
K.J. Richmond also was really good. Honestly, like St. John's kind of
St.
just-
John's is a problem this year. They're very good.
I think they're gonna make they're gonna make a lot of noise when we get to April and March. But they pretty much just dominated this entire game. Virginia committed 16 turnovers and 13 of those were St. John's steals. So it's kind of just an all-around dominant game. UVA really, from the moment, from opening tip-off until the end, UVA really just didn't stand a chance against St.
To be
John's.
fair, you also have Rick Pitino standing on the sideline, looking like he's ready to make a call, and your family's gonna disappear if you beat
So,
him.
like-
So I wouldn't want to beat them either because you might never see your family again. If
You
beat
don't know
them.
what's going to happen
Yeah,
in that
he's-
locker room after
he-
that game. if
Yeah,
you
Rick
lose.
Pitino definitely knows a couple guys in waste management. So I wouldn't. If I'm a St. John's player, I want to win. And
Every
if
game
I'm an
is-
opponent, I do not want to beat him because I love my family and I want to see him again.
Every game's basically just a
It's
must-win for
life
St.
or
John's.
death. Yeah,
I mean, they besides the Baylor game, they lost in double overtime against Baylor on a buzzer beater. Like
Baylor, very good team. Even though
Especially
last
with
night says differently.
especially with Thanksgiving coming up, you want to win that game too. Especially
Yeah.
imagine if you lose that game and it's like Thanksgiving's around the corner.
and your family's gone.
Some
'Cause
just
Rick
like,
Pitino you made a couple calls and they're gone now.
but back to I just completely lost that shit. What were we
Sorry.
talking? We talked
My
about
bad.
St. John's, but yeah, we talked about the that Baylor game was like really. If you're like a St. John's fan, that was really like tough to watch. 0-2 from the fouling. Like you need to make at least one of those shots to send it into overtime in case Baylor does make that shot. But that was just a heartbreak.
You're not a
to-
St. John's guy, are you? You're a Penn State guy, yeah?
Yeah, I'm a Penn State guy, so I'm kinda
Ooh,
torn,
Penn
like-
State basketball. Ugh.
Fordham, Ace Baldwin and Zach Hicks have been really good, but I'm kind of torn because like my college is playing like my favorite like college team, like Penn State and Fordham are just like
who are you
clashing.
gonna choose?
I have to obviously go with Fordham, like New
Have
York.
to.
I'm a New York native, Long Island. Shout out to all my Long Island people out there, but I just can't go against Fordham, even as a lifelong Penn State fan. I just can't go against my school like that, you know.
Yeah, well, another fair. So I'll root for. I won't root for St. John's. Rick Pitino scares me. Also,
You might want to root for him because
Also,
you
they've
never
beaten
know.
us so bad the last 2 years that I just can't. It's embarrassing. But a couple other games last night. I know you talked about it. You watched the Nebraska Creighton game, which was
It was interesting, especially with Kalkbrenner. Like, I feel like that was just like insane. Like the
he
Texas
took one shot.
and 4 points.
39 minutes and he took one shot.
Like you can't be arguably a top 5 player and take one shot. the whole
I
game.
just don't understand. Like, I don't really know what was happening. Like,
I
I didn't
wrap
watch
my
the
head
whole
around it.
game, end to end, but I watched bits and pieces where I could catch it, and it just looked like Creighton. I mean, at one point I think Nebraska was up by like 16 or 17, like 10 minutes into the game. Like it was.
Yeah,
They got out to such a hot start, and Creighton had no answer for it, that it really felt like there was no chance they were ever going to come back. It felt like the game was over 10 minutes in.
zero lead changes that
Yeah,
entire
we-
game. There was
we-
one tie and 0 lead changes.
We looked, right? It was like they weren't down by much in the very beginning of the game for like first couple,
For first like 2
5,
3 minutes,
yeah.
it was back and,
then,
forth.
And then you look back up at the TV, or you look and you change
It's
channel onto it,
18,
and it's 18 to like 7 or whatever it was, and after that point,
I think at one point we looked up and we're like, oh, it's 9. That's getting close. And we're like,
And
oh
then
wait,
Nebraska just goes
9
on
is
this, like-
not that close. Yeah.
Nebraska just goes on like 2 11-0 runs. Was pretty
It
much
was-
just.
Creighton couldn't stop the run. They just gave up so many runs in this game that it was. I don't really know. The coaching was a little off. I don't know how you allow Brunner to take one shot, play 39 minutes in one shot. It didn't make sense to me.
And Creighton was awful that game. 32.7% from the
You got to
field.
make shots.
28.6% from 3
That's
point.
a
That was
Fordham
just-
stat line.
I feel like this is just what Creighton does. You look at last year, it was like Colorado State. They lost Colorado State. They lost to UNLV.
Yeah, but they had Bailey Shireman last year,
They lost. They
or Baylor Shire, whatever that
didn't
guy's
they
name was.
upset UConn last year too? At
Oh, I
one point.
Creighton was really
Yeah,
They
they
good.
upset
upset
UConn by like
UConn.
7 points.
But then
I
they
think, or something.
lose like random games that are just like
It's
Yeah.
just
they just don't. If they don't,
It's
come
inconsistency,
To
that's
play,
what it is.
yeah, it's just
But like you can't be a top 5 player in the country and take one shot and have 4 points all on free throws. Like 38 minutes to like
Oh, was it 38?
38, 39. But that was like I feel like that was like the biggest thing that like caught my eye. Like when I'm looking at the stat sheet, like you would expect Kalkbrenner to be the reason why that they only lost by 11, but he was the total opposite. Like he shot 0% from the field as a top 5 player. That just doesn't sit right with me. I mean, he had 11 rebounds. Like as a center, you're supposed to have high rebound numbers, but
You
4
gotta
points,
score. Gotta score the basketball.
4 points, like you're the team's number 1 guy. You can't be scoring 4 points when your team needs you. I know they only lost by 11, but really it doesn't. If you watch the game, it doesn't look like they really lost by 11. It looks like they played absolute
Yeah,
garbage.
it didn't look close. But quick score update. Marquette is up 1 at half over UGA, 36-35. Maxie boy, I think it's time.
I don't even think we waste our time on this game. It was just Baylor just played so bad.
Baylor did play bad. And the thing is, I think Baylor's one of the better teams in the country. Obviously, they're 13th, so that's not like a hot take. But I think Baylor really has a shot to do something this year. I think they're a very good team. I think VJ Edgecombe is.
He's a bucket.
I mean, you watch that guy play. Also, was it him last night? Was it him? I think it was him when he went up for the lay on the fast break, and the Tennessee player just swatted into oblivion. It was
bad.
so disrespectful.
He had a great move all the way up until when he went up.
Like
to
it looks
lay up
so
the
pretty.
ball.
He made the one guy miss. It looks so pretty, and then just out of nowhere, this Tennessee guy chased down,
He
swats
just
it.
went so weak
30
up
miles
he
into
just
the
went
stands.
so
It was
weak up to the
incredible.
rim.
At Baylor too to do that, like in front of that crowd.
It was
oof.
awesome to see. But I think Baylor will be all right. They put up a good fight in the second half. They were down 27 at halftime. 47-20 at half. They came back out and they put on a really good fight in the second half. Held them to 77-62, 15-point game. They won the second half by 12, right? So I think that's a good sign. There's obviously things to build on. You're 6 games into the season. Whatever. Your ranking's not going to drop that much. You've got just a dogfight Big 12 schedule ahead of you because the Big 12 is always a dogfight. But VJ Edgecombe is, he's played 6 games in his college career. He's going to learn. He still scored 20. He shot, 50% from the field, 50% from 3, also 50% from the free throw line. So fun stat line. Needs to shoot better from the free throw line. Needs to get to the free throw line more, which, for a guy with that much finishing ability, you really would like to see him shoot more than 2 free throws in a game. But, he's a freshman. He'll get better at that. Still had 20 points. What I want to talk about is Chaz Lanier, back-to-back games with 25 points. I was talking about this before. It seemed like in the first 5 minutes, he was everywhere doing everything, couldn't miss. I think he made 4 threes in a row to start the game. I look up, it's 12-0. Tennessee's up. I think at one point it was 17-3. Like it wasn't close to start the game. Tennessee came out and could not miss. Chaz Lanier, all the pregame hype, all the pregame was talking about how Chaz Lanier just dominated, had 26 points Thursday night, and then he came out last night and just was lights out. He played an incredible game, 25 points, 7 of 10 from 3, like threw in 2 steals. I think both of those were early in the game, too, because the first 6 minutes of the game, I swear every time I looked up, he was doing something.
He looked the number
he was
one
everywhere.
player.
It was awesome.
And especially Tennessee won a 20-4 run. 12 of those points were by Chaz Lanier. So he absolutely balled out and dominated.
They could have Dalton Knecht 2.0 on
honestly. That's not even a crazy take.
No,
he could be the next.
He's very good.
And Dalton Knecht's been solid in the NBA too, which we may talk about NBA later. But Chaz Lanier's just been an absolute bucket, and I see great things for him later on.
I would agree. That is all the time we have for college basketball here, sort of. It's just the start of the college basketball season, so as we approach the first real test for a lot of these teams, we'll start to see some things shake out after these Thanksgiving tournaments. It'll wrap up our first hour of one-on-one, but don't worry, you still get 2 more of those from us, so whether you like that or not, you're stuck with us for the next couple hours. On the other side of this break, which will begin with an interview from the freshly minted athletic director here at Fordham, our own Charles Guthrie. We'll have an interview right now, right after I get done talking, which I'm sure you'd much rather listen to that than me talk right now. And then we'll go into a break, we'll come out of the other side, and we'll have some Knicks for you. But Charles Guthrie on the other side of this break right here.
Lou Orlando and Chris Carino joined by Fordham's new athletic director, Charles Guthrie. Charles, taking this position, what excites you about being able to lead athletics here at Fordham University?
Well, what's exciting is Fordham has been around a long time. Great tradition, great program, Atlantic 10. Teams are having success, great coaching staff, and the president, President Tetlow, is a rock star. And to be aligned with President Tetlow, to have a vision to elevate the program and the university, I'm really excited about it.
And you just touched on it. This program has been around a long time. This athletic program has so much historical pedigree to it. How do you honor that and keep that energizing your program moving forward while also staying modern and staying in the current time?
Well, first of all, Vince Lombardi started the program at UW Green Bay. So he's probably staring down on me right now and don't mess it up. Yeah. So excited about that. And I think the modern times is having the vast experience that I've been able to attain at various institutions. And it's the right time to be here in the NCAA as we go through this transformative period. And I'm excited to bring those expertise with me to Fordham to keep the tradition alive and to compete for championships.
In your opening remarks, you talked about being student-centered, student-focused. You said that's a huge part of your philosophy. Where did that start? How important is that to a successful athletics program?
Well, my first athletic director's job was at a 2-year college, and I reported to student affairs. And our motto was students first. And they said the adults will always have challenges, but if you focus on the students, you can do very well in higher education. And so that's kind of been my mantra all the way, is that focus on the students and everything else will work itself out.
And this is less for Fordham, more for the actual position. It's such a broad and vast position to have. How do you kind of focus and concentrate on certain teams, certain sports, while also kind of giving fair attention to everybody?
Well, I think you focus on the portfolio, and you don't start picking and choosing different programs within the portfolio. Everyone's out there fighting. Everyone's going to practice. They're all working hard. No different with recreation and club sports. That's a cohort for people where they meet new friends. When I was at Syracuse University, some of my best friends were on my intramural basketball team. So I think the exciting part about the role is it's not just focused on intercollegiate athletics, but it's dipping into more student life aspects, and I'm really excited about that part.
You had referenced how the landscape of college athletics, it's changing, it's transforming.
Right.
Is that a challenge or is that an opportunity?
Well, working in San Francisco, I was around a lot of tech companies, and you can be a yellow taxi and kind of maybe go out of business, or you can have an Uber mentality where you're always looking at disruption as an opportunity. And I look at the new format in college athletics as an opportunity, and those that take it as an opportunity will go far and be able to embrace it and compete and win. If you go roll over in the corner, you're gonna get left out. So I'm excited about what Fordham is going to do in this next iteration of college athletics. I think they're positioned very well. And again, like as I mentioned earlier, alignment with the board, the president, and AD will go very far as far as trying to compete in the next iteration of college sports.
And the spot you currently find yourself in, the location, the program, everything around it, what makes the opportunity so special, and what makes you just so excited about it?
Well, I've always been in a New York state of mind, wherever I live, so they always said if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And I took those principles from Columbia University in 1999 and carried them through California, Ohio, Wisconsin. It didn't matter. So I feel like I'm battle tested. I'm a New Yorker, and I'm excited about the challenges ahead.
At Akron, you were praised for your ability to fundraise, your ability to get alumni support. That's obviously a huge part of college athletics. What's your philosophy there, and how crucial is that to taking Fordham to the next level?
Well, without being external facing and fundraising, you're probably not going to succeed as a program, and that will be one of my top priorities, to make sure that we get our alumni and our donors active and understand how their support is going to be critical to trying to win championships. Everybody wants to win, but there's a cost associated with winning, and so I'm excited about that.
And I know you haven't been here that long, but I'm sure you've heard the term Rose Thrill thrown around here. I just want to talk about student involvement, student engagement in these athletic programs, and how important that'll be for your regime moving forward.
Well, definitely. I think you want to get donors excited, have a lot of students at the game, because there's a reminder to them what it was like when they were a student. And so I think having student engagement is going to be a critical piece as we move forward here.
Fordham's new athletic director, Charles Guthrie. Charles, thanks for taking the time.
Oh, thank you.
You're listening to WFUV, New York.
Welcome back to 90.7 here at Rose Hill. You can join us by calling into 718-817-2750. We would love to hear from you, especially if you have some Knicks opinions, some Knicks hot takes. Just want to talk some Knicks or really anything else. Call in. We'd love to hear from you. But let's get started with the Knicks, here. Third in the Eastern Conference, 9-6 start to the year. They've won 4 straight, though. You know, they looked a little rough to start the season. They've won 4 straight. They've scored 130 points in back-to-back games. First time in, 30 years or something like that? A long time.
Something like that, yeah.
It was a really long time. Thibodeau's got the boys rolling. Thibodeau's got the boys playing 40 minutes a game. The Knicks look good, though. You know, they've struggled a bit on the road. They allow 115 points on the defensively. They've struggled. Really, defensively, they struggled all over the place. But 115 points against on the road versus 107 at home. That was probably a big reason for that 5-6 start. They've won 4 straight. The defense has been shored up quite a bit. Offensively, they've looked incredible, obviously scoring 130 in back-to-back games. I will let Bradley go off now. Let's hear it.
So, first off, I just want to talk about the minutes portion. Like, I get it, like,
I love Tom Thibodeau just running Derrick Rose into the ground, and he didn't learn anything.
It still pains me that
he didn't learn anything from that. I love it.
Imagine,
stick to your guns.
What if Derrick Rose, like, never got injured?
Didn't play 47 minutes a game?
Exactly.
D-Rose.
And you have Josh Hart playing 47 minutes.
D-Rose.
Like, you have the starters. Like, you're up by 20 against
Shout
Phoenix.
out Lil Pump.
Crazy shout out, but anyway.
D-Rose.
But, like, I just don't understand. Like, you're up by 20, right? Phoenix already has their bench in. There's probably, like, 7 minutes left.
All gas, no breaks, baby.
And then you just have then Tibbs puts his bench with, like, around 5 minutes left. Phoenix cuts the lead to 13. OG and Cat check back into the game. When
Chris Paul hits a huge three to cut the lead to 30. Get everyone in. Get them in.
Like, Tibbs, like, as soon as, like, he sees that something is, like, going wrong, he calls a timeout and puts all the starters right back in. Like, they can be up by, like, 20, and then they'll cut the lead to 13. Like, oh, timeout, full timeout, go to commercial break, and then you just see all the starters in. There's 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and Phoenix has their bench. I don't think the minutes are sustainable. We saw this last year where we had Josh Hart playing 45 minutes, OG playing.
Josh Hart playing center because all of your centers were hurt.
I mean, Josh Hart could realistically play,
he's averaging 9 rebounds a game. Like, that's pretty cool. He's like 6'4".
6'4" guard. Yeah. Like, I feel like with the Knicks trade, they traded defense away and got offense. Like, you have Mikal, who's been, a little shaky in terms of, like, playing with the Knicks, but I feel like he'll get into that rhythm soon. But you have some of Cat's best years, I feel like, were under Tibbs, and we don't talk about it enough. All of these guys have playoff experience before they came to Knicks. Brunson was just in the Western Conference Finals with Dallas. Cat was also in the Western Conference Finals. Mikal Bridges, they had the second round.
He's played a lot of games in his career.
He never missed a single game.
On the Suns, he has experience.
Yeah, well, Luka still owns the Suns forever, but
no, he doesn't.
I just feel like these minutes just aren't. That's my biggest worry. Like we saw last year, all the starters were playing huge minutes, and then it caught up to them in the playoffs. So I think
that's part of the reason. Probably the defense has struggled a little bit. Is just because everyone's gassed when they're on the court.
Exactly, and then when you get to playoff time, you just see like Josh Hart. He played 3 straight games of 48 minutes. Like you can't like.
Yeah, but he's averaging like 15, 15, and 10. So like that's pretty cool.
But like. A player should be playing 48 minutes 3 games in a row when your season is on the line. Like, you need, like...
He's, like, in prime N'Golo Kante. That's what Josh Hart is.
Like, I'm just praying that Tibbs will... Once Mitch, Precious, and Deuce all come back, that we'll finally see the 10-man rotation again. Because a 7-man rotation...
I don't know if Tibbs has ever, even in his entire... however many years of coaching, considered a 10-man rotation.
But with this, like, with the roster they have right now, like, think about it. For the starting line, you have Brunson, Hart, OG, Mikal, and Cat. And then on the bench, you have Campaign. Well, Deuce would run the 1. Campaign at the 2. And then you could put, I guess you put Bakome Dadier maybe at the 3. And then you have Precious and Mitch. Or maybe you would put Hart back on the bench and let Mitch... run the 5.
I think that's what's going to happen. I think Hart moves to the bench and Mitch runs the 5. But it also depends because I think the thing about Josh Hart is he can literally do whatever you need him to do. If you need him to play center, he can play center. If you need him to play point guard, he can play point guard. Like he's averaging 6 assists as a de facto 4, like as a 6'4" power forward.
Yeah.
Like, he can kind of just do whatever. He's averaging, he's shooting 60% from the field or something stupid like that. Like that, I think he probably moves to the bench, which also. With Mitch Rob coming back into the lineup, if he comes into the starting lineup, you kind of can see a recreation of what you had with Gobert defensively.
Yeah.
And that, Cat has never been, an elite defender. Like, he's a guy who will get you some blocks and, some counting statistics, and sometimes, like, he'll look good defensively. But especially if he's a guy, if he's allowed to play the 4, and he's not relied to be, the defensive anchor, and you have a guy like Mitch Rob, the defense... which is something you saw in Minnesota when they traded for Gobert, is the defense it goes to another level when you have an elite paint presence next to Cat, because it allows Cat, he's a 7-foot guy with long arms, and he can just kind of go, not have to rely as the paint anchor. He can kind of just roam and get blocks.
Yeah, and
so
I don't
the defense takes a step. Then Josh Hart moves to the bench. The bench unit defense takes a step. OG and McCall are obviously great defenders, real lanky guys. So I'm not scared about the defense, and so I do think it just takes everyone getting healthy and hopefully Tibbs running a bit longer rotation. He doesn't need to give everyone 20 minutes a game, but if he can have his starters play 30 instead of 40, I think you're in a better spot.
It's kind of like with the Warriors. We're not going to talk about the Warriors, but they have Steph Curry playing around 27, 28 minutes.
He's a 37-year-old and they're being smart.
Yeah, but still, they're first in the West, and their best player is only playing 28 minutes a game. I feel like you should have players like Brunson, Hart, even not play 30-ish minutes a game and get that bench more involved. And you talked about how once Mitch Rob comes back, he'll be the starting center, and I agree with that. I don't trust Cat as the 5.
They need some semblance of a center rotation. Precious will be huge for that too.
Ariel Huckporty should be getting more minutes. I get it. They on ESPN they interviewed one of the assistant coaches and they talked about Ariel Huckporty's low minutes, and they said that because he's a 7-foot rookie, they're trying to get it.
He's getting 5 minutes a game.
He didn't play against Phoenix.
Yeah,
Jericho Sims' minutes should be given to Huckporty, or at least 90% of Sims' minutes should be going to Huckporty.
Jericho Sims has not looked great.
Exactly, and I just think Huckporty is 7 foot, so at least he's taller than most of the guys on the court.
What is Sims, 6? He's not big.
Sims is, I know he's a center. He's 6. He's 6'9".
6'9",
which is the same height as Precious Achua. And Precious
is a good defender.
Precious is a good defender, but Jericho Sims should just not be really getting minutes. Huckporty is 7 foot. A 7-foot player should not be on the bench getting at most 5 minutes a game. I feel like the Knicks kind of need to get
the Knicks need size too. You have a 6'4" dude playing your power forward, so
yeah. I just
the size of Huckporty would be huge.
I don't mean to interrupt here, but
booth mic.
We look at the Knicks rotation right now, and you guys bring up a lot of great points, but you also got to understand who this coach is, right, in Tibbs. He doesn't play his rookies. You guys have that one outstanding rookie from Summer League who doesn't get any minutes, who looked like a good playmaker. I can't remember his name.
Tyler Kolkic?
Yeah.
Kolek.
He should get more minutes.
He gets nothing.
He's averaging 7 minutes a game, I think I was looking at.
I mean, probably not even.
But even to that point, not only does he not play his rookies, you guys are injured, so you only have a 7-man team rotation. Forget just the bench lacking in depth, but you guys only have 2 players on that bench that are probably NBA kind of talent. And at the start of the season, you guys have to play your starters 35 to 40 minutes a game, because the minute that, let's just say, all of them is off the court and you have to rely on most of your bench and rotation, you guys will most likely fall to anyone's average team, whoever your opponent is, because that's just how bad your bench is. I'm sorry to put it that way, but you kind of have to wait for Precious to come back. You have to wait for Mitchell to come back, because yes, once you have a full complete team, this Knicks team can go as far as the 2nd seed in the East and as far as the Eastern Conference Finals in the playoffs. But you're not going to get any of them back probably until the beginning of the new year. So you have to face this gruesome, winter schedule right now with who you got. And you guys are in kind of a lucky spot that the East is not looking good right now. There's a lot of below 500 teams. And if the Knicks can just be a little gritty and play the game the right way and hopefully, play good enough where you don't need the stars to necessarily play every minute of the game, then you can kind of make it till January, February when you have your full lineup again, when you have the Robertson and you have the Precious of the world. I don't mean to just put my team out there, but take a step from how OKC kind of ran their team when Chet got injured. They were playing someone like Jalen Williams at the center position and playing small ball, and then they used the rest of their lineup who's small as well to just kind of just play everywhere and just still win games. If I'm the Knicks, you have someone in Josh Hart. Yes, he can be your small man center, power forward, whatever in that case, and just start giving more minutes to the guards on the bench like Cameron Payne and McBride, but I know he's been injured. So that's just another piece right there. You just have to kind of get creative with your lineup in order for players like Brunson and Cat to get less minutes a game, you're going to see OG's minutes stay consistent because you just need forward help. You're going to see people like Mikal Bridges play almost 40 minutes a game because that man's a workhorse. It's just Tibbs just needs to find a way to get past this tough stretch, but it's hard to do that when you know you only have 7 to 8 guys available and can't produce a 10-man bench like most teams in the NBA.
I think that's an interesting point. And another issue with him not utilizing his bench is he's got his starters have all played every game other than Cat, right? And then Jericho Sims is the only other guy who's played every game, right? Like Campaign, 11 games. Huck Porty, 7 games. Pacom Dottie, 8 games. Tyler Kolek, 10 games. Like it's inconsistent playing time. Like even if like Kolek in the games he's played 8 minutes a game, right? That's whatever. You maybe like to see it get up to like 14-ish, but whatever. He's playing 8 minutes a game, but he's only played 10 games. Like he's and Dottie, same thing. Like he's not utilizing the same guys every game, right? Like it's you might play 12 minutes one game and then get a DNP coach's decision the next. Like it's if he utilizes the bench, but then like it's very inconsistent in the way that he does, and it's interesting because personally I would like to see my bench players remain consistent. Like I don't want to see you swapping out like 7 different dudes for 3 bench spots every other game, right? Like let guys get consistent playing time and let them play every single game. Don't like go, hey, here's 2 games, and then here's 2 games where you don't play, and then here's 2 more games, and then here's 2 more games you don't play. Like you can't get in a rhythm that way, and it's hard to see, as a bench unit, it's hard to see them function and get any chemistry going as a full bench if they're not playing.
But to that point, look at the bench pieces you have. What names pop out to you that deserve any NBA minutes?
I would like to see Tyler Kolek get a lot more minutes than 8 minutes a game.
I think we all agree with that.
I would also say that Campaign, I think, has looked very good.
He's been a bucket.
Campaign has looked very good when he's playing. He could easily, he could be playing 20-plus minutes a game, and you can give some of Brunson's minutes, some of Hart's minutes, even some of Mikal Bridges, because Campaign's, I think, also like 6'4". Like he's got
doesn't even matter.
But he's got a long wingspan. He can play. He can play the 2 if you need him to.
Doesn't even matter the size of your guards. Where you lack is height and the big man position. So, like I said earlier, like you have to kind of play around with this lineup and start thinking small ball a little bit, especially against certain teams in the East where their centers are not that good.
I mean, Dottie is 6'7". Like if you need him to play the 4, you can get him to play the 4.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can if you need Josh Hart to play the 4 or 5, he will be as aggressive as possible to play that position. You need people like Cat to not always be on his feet. All right. You don't have any help, and there's really nothing to look at in the free agent market. I mean, if the Knicks want to look at trade market right now, this early in the season, they can.
I don't mean to cut you off, Angel, but I think the Knicks are done with trades for a little while. They don't have
exactly to that point. Like they can't look.
Claxton.
They went all in like this right now. Like
Imagine
this
that.
roster that they have right now is like all in. Like they need to win within the next 3 to 5 years because they don't have a first.
There's nothing else happening.
100%. Their window is 3 to 5 years because that's just with how young this team is right now, and just the contract worth is that long. But still, you don't have a good bench, let alone you don't have a bench, and you don't have good players even on the bench.
Well,
I
don't mean to. Sorry, I keep cutting you off, but I would
Please
argue
do.
that Bakome Dadier and Cole have upside.
I think
just
Dadier's
don't
looked very
play.
good as well.
Like you can't be like Mikal Bridges averages the most minutes a game with 38.6. Josh Hart 4th with 37.3, and in the blowout, Phoenix did not have a single lead, 0 lead changes. Brunson 36 minutes, Cat 34 minutes, Hart 40 minutes, Mikal 40 minutes, OG 35 minutes. I just feel like the Knicks have bench players. It's just on Tibbs, and he just doesn't.
Here's also the thing. Like, Thibodeau is going to be Thibodeau, right? He's going to play his stars a lot. And early in the season, I don't love it. But, in close games, it's whatever. It's in the games where you're winning by 20 points in the third quarter. Why are your starters still in? Right? Like, if it's a close game, or even if it's like a 10-point game in the fourth, whatever, leave your starters in. I don't care. Let them play 47 minutes if you have to. That's your coaching philosophy. But in a 20-point game in the third quarter, your starters don't need to be in.
Exactly. Like, Phoenix already, like, Devin Booker checked out of the game, and then you just have the rest of the bench pieces.
Like, Jalen Brunson doesn't need to be playing the 11th man on the Suns bench.
Exactly. Like, it's just because they talked about it inside the NBA when they first had the Knicks their first game. These minutes are going to take a toll, and eventually they're going to rack up, and then we get the playoff time, and then 3 players on the Knicks are injured, and then you got 3 players playing 48 minutes. Like, we can possibly see more than one player play 48 minutes come playoff time.
And you saw what the Suns did this a little last season. Last season they started to change, but 2 years ago, where they just kind of like only play their starters, and you see in the playoffs specifically, it never works out.
They did it with the Timberwolves too, and averaged 40
40
minutes a game.
This
It's a
has
big
been
thing in the
Thibodeau's.
NBA,
This has been
but-
Thibodeau's entire career. Like obviously in the in the playoff, your rotation shortens. You know, you don't run a 10-man rotation in the playoff because that's stupid. You run like a 7-8-man rotation. With Tibbs though, he always runs the 8-man rotation, and the guys he does have on the bench play like 10 minutes a game, and you got all your starters playing 40, and you got your 3 bench guys playing 10, and it's like, right? Obviously, you trust your guys. Tibbs has been a successful coach in this league. Like he I'm not gonna say he hasn't been successful, but he the reason he's never able, like his teams are never able to take that next step is because like half his team is either injured or like can barely walk by the end of the season. And come postseason, you know, the games you need to win, you can't win because your starters can't play because, you know, they're missing all the cartilage in their knee because they've run 700 marathons.
And then your bench is averaging 4 minutes the entire season.
Yeah.
Like,
And obviously, when
and
the
also
Knicks,
the bench pieces they do have are obviously young, so you know they've played 15 games in their NBA career. So hopefully you'd like to see some more trust gained, and you know you can give them some more minutes because obviously the guys we're talking about, you know, Kolek, Dadier, what's the center's name?
Huck Porty,
who
should be getting more minutes.
Those are all young guys, so you know 15 games in their NBA career in a draft class that a lot of people said not many NBA ready prospects. So I don't necessarily have an issue with them not getting 20 minutes a game. You would like to
10,
see them.
15.
Yeah, you know, a lot. Also, you don't have the bench depth with all the injuries that you have to not be giving them minutes, right? I don't think the solution is, oh, this guy who's going to give 23 minutes a game to is injured. Let me give 18 of those minutes to my starters. Like, it's not give more minutes to your starters to the point where there's no minutes to the bench. You got to give some minutes to the bench. Even if it's like, here's like 2 minutes in the second quarter, like that no one's going to remember ever, right? Like,
Yeah, like
here's
no
15
one
minutes.
cares, like-
Here's 15 minutes in absolute game minutes that no one will ever remember. Who cares? Touchdown Indiana, 7-0.
But
Yeah, the Knicks got to play their bench more.
yeah, I just like these minutes that they keep reckoning. It's not sustainable. Like it's gonna eventually like add up, and then we get to playoff time. Mikal goes down with an injury.
Don't say
OG.
that. Don't say that. Don't say
But
that.
like with Tibbs, it's like does his coaching staff does Tibbs have nobody around him to tell him play the bench more? Like you got that entire coaching staff. There's not even one person can tell Tibbs play the bench a little bit more. Like players shouldn't like in the playoffs against Philly. Dante and Hart had multiple games where they played 48 minutes just in that Philly series alone. I'm not even talking about in the Indiana series where
it's borderline coaching malpractice.
Exactly, and even though I think the Knicks would have at least won one game against Boston last year, but that's a different story for another day. Like I just don't think playing the starters 40 minutes a game is sustainable. And it's kind of ironic that Mikal Bridges is leading the league in minutes per game, and he's played every game of his entire career. He's literally the player that Tibbs dreamed about.
He's
like, Like if Tibbs was making a player in a lab, Mikal Bridges is literally the player.
And the 7-foot wingspan definitely helps that too.
Yeah, 100%.
From the exciting face of New York basketball to whatever you want to call that's going on in Brooklyn, we'll talk a little bit of Nets on the other side of this break on 90.7 WFUV Sports.
What's up, everyone? I'm Evan Harkin, your New York Jets beat reporter for the 2024 season. Stay up to date with all things white and green from MetLife Stadium. From Aaron Rodgers touchdowns to Sauce Gardner interceptions, I've got you covered. So join me and Gang Green on Twitter at Ev Harkin and stay locked in with the JETS on WFUV, your home for New York sports.
Liftoff of mission 41D, the first flight of the Ever Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Bringing it back now to One on One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. It is time, unfortunately, for us to talk a little bit about the ugly stepchild of the Eastern Conference New York basketball, the Brooklyn Nets. 6-10 on the season. Yeah, top 15 offense, just horrendous defense. It's just Cam Thomas is pretty fun. Cam Johnson, pretty fun. Had a great night the other night. That's about it. I mean, what more else is there to say? It's just, obviously it was a rebuild year coming in. Everyone knew it was going to be a rebuild year, but there's just, unless you're a big Cam Thomas fan and you're pushing for him to make the All-Star game, I feel like the Nets just don't give you a whole lot of reason to tune in every day. Like, I mean, I feel like we were 2 weeks into the season and people were talking about trading Dennis Schroeder. Like, that's what it felt like. It was like Dennis Schroeder had 2 good games. Oh, they need to trade him. Like, who's Dennis Schroeder getting traded to at the deadline? Like, that's kind of where the Nets are, right? It's, who's Claxton going to get traded to? I don't think Claxton will ever get traded. He's like the only people Nets fans actually know.
I guess him and Ben Simmons. Well, half the time we know Ben Simmons.
They better know Ben Simmons. They're paying him $40 million a year.
No,
did you see last night when he was like dribbling and he just forgot the ball and kept running? Like, he looked like me playing basketball.
It was like
he was dribbling down the court and the ball just kept bouncing and he just kept running and he's like, oh,
it's like in
where's
2K
the ball
when
at?
You, like in 2K when you like do like that bounce pass when you're inbounding it and then you just leave the ball there and your player just keeps going. That's literally what happened. But like, I think the Nets are.
And then he trips over himself every other time he tries to like do like a one between the like through the legs dribble and he like falls over. It's like,
it's
dude,
better.
You're a 6'10", like
6'10" guard. That just makes no sense to me. I mean, but at least he's playing. Last year
he is playing.
That is
has he played more games this year than he did like the last 3 years combined or something? It feels like it.
Probably. I'm just glad that Ben Simmons is on the court, even if he's getting.
I don't think Nets fans are.
Like,
I guess because they're paying him, but
I mean, even though Ben Simmons is getting a triple single every night, at least he's on the floor. Like, that's better than just sitting on the bench.
He is definitely contributing to their losing, so I'm sure Nets fans are happy about that.
But yeah, the Nets are just kind of like they're looking forward to capture the flag, going after Cooper Flag, and now that they have so many picks from the Knicks,
he's already played as many games this year as he did all of last year.
Which is, although that contributes to losing, it's better than him not playing and then Nets fans getting irritated. But Nets fans always find a way to get irritated over Ben Simmons.
I mean, can we talk about the fact that every offseason they love to post, and any team he's on loves to post him hit like 10 threes in a row.
He's never hit 10 threes in a row. They post him hit 10 threes out of like 25.
Yeah,
he's shooting 40% from three.
And then they're like, oh, this season Ben Simmons going to come out as a shooter, and then he.
But that's when anybody can hit 10 threes in Chris Brickley's gym. Like that, I feel like it's.
I don't know if I could.
It's kind of the same thing like Joel Embiid.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think anybody could. I definitely couldn't. I don't think I could hit one.
Barrett's
I mean,
a role
in 2K,
player when he's
like,
on the court.
In 2K,
I'm like a not even Walmart, Kmart's too expensive too.
Kmart.
I'm like a Kmart's younger brother version of Josh Hart.
You're like the sales,
but like not
Kmart.
This year Josh Hart. I'm like rookie year Josh Hart. Like I'll get some rebounds. I'll play average defense, and I'll give the ball to LeBron James. LeBron James is max.
That's where you either pass to LeBron James or just let LeBron. It's either let LeBron shoot, pass to LeBron, let LeBron shoot. When Josh Hart used to be with the oh my gosh, I just lost track of that, with the Lakers. But anyway, let's get back into the Nets. Unfortunately, but
oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
But I feel like in terms of the Mikal and the Nets trade, both teams won. Knicks are in win now mode, and knock on wood, I'm one of those delusional Knicks fans, so I'll hold off on my opinions. But now that the Nets have all these picks, they can kind of look for the future. And I hear Nets fans talking about wanting to trade for a big star. Nets history, that has never worked. Like KG and Pierce, they traded away their 2 first-round picks. That led to Tatum and Brown. And then they had Durant, Harden, Kyrie, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin. One playoff series win. Or they won one playoff series. And then they were like one KD three-pointer foot away from, I believe it was Eastern Conference. The bubble was just different, but the Nets shouldn't trade for a star. Like, they should keep their picks, rebuild, and I guess look for the future. There's really nothing else.
Trading Dennis Schroeder like 4 picks. Like, they need to rebuild. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I think in the NBA, a lot of teams do a rebuild where they like kind of give up for a year and then like go all in instead of just doing a true rebuild.
That was like
And this is what-
OKC.
Well, here's the thing.
OKC did a
OKC
true
had like
rebuild.
the fastest rebuild in like history. Like,
But like it was
Well,
a
when you
real.
have
It was
7
just,
million
they just kind of
picks,
got.
you can kind of do whatever
They
you
got.
want.
That's what the Nets need to do is
Also,
get that
their
many
rebuild
picks.
was trading their MVP candidate for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who sophomore year Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just
that's
decided
one of the worst trades arguably in NBA history.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
like they got all those picks and then like
they got all those picks and arguably the best guard in basketball.
they went from 20-62 to the play-in to first seed in the Western Conference. That's pretty impressive.
Andrew's giving me a thumbs up back there too. He's happy.
And
about
that's
it.
what the
He's
Nets
happy
need
where
to
it
Sam
is.
focus
Presti's
for,
just a
you know?
mastermind. Sam Presti, like, if Sam Presti is calling you, do not answer the phone because you are going to get fleeced.
But I think the Nets are in a good spot. They got a lot of picks. Cam Johnson will get shipped out probably in the next couple weeks. I think he'll get shipped out way before the deadline.
You think he's getting traded?
Yeah, 100%.
He
I
should.
think
I
I think
think
he'll
he
get
should.
traded. I think you can probably get a couple first round picks with Cam Johnson. I think
At least
they need to trade him to, like-
early second round.
I was reading something. I think it's in Golden State was interested.
He would work good there.
He
I
would.
feel like Steph needs someone like.
I mean, he's a great shooting 4 or 3 or 4, whatever you want. I think Schroeder gets traded probably at the deadline. Whatever.
I don't think
else.
Cam. I think Cam Thomas
Cam
and Nick
Thomas is
Claxton are
there
like
to
locked
stay.
there.
Nick Claxton, I think. I won't say there'll be riots in the streets of Brooklyn because no one cares about the Nets enough to riot. But he is one of the few guys that Nets fans like truly love. He's like their guy.
I really, really wish OKC stole him instead of Isaiah Hartenstein. It still pains me to this day.
Yeah,
that
the Knicks would be in a lot better spot if they had Hartenstein this year.
Oh my gosh, I don't even imagine that starting lineup. Like, oh man, like Brunson, OG, McCall.
Hey,
Cat-
we gave the Knicks their time, okay? This is Nets time.
Okay, but
To the 47 Nets fans, not even 47. We don't get that many people watching this show.
47 would be a miracle if that's how many Nets fans are.
The .47 Nets fans, they're like,
It's just Kurt Sipple, honestly. At this
Yeah,
point. Shout out to Kurt.
you think Kurt's probably turned it off? He couldn't listen to this anymore. He's probably ranting, throwing things about the Nets. He's like, I can't do it anymore. I don't know. Shout out Kurt.
The Nets are just like a dumpster fire. I don't just.
The
There's
thing
really nothing else.
The thing about the Nets too is that they're 6-10, 12th in the East, and they have to close out the month. They have Sacramento loss, Golden State loss, Phoenix loss, and then Orlando loss. I mean, they're about to be 6-14. Like there's no hope
They
on the
need to
horizon.
just swallow their pride and just like trade away, just get picks.
They may not even win a single game in December. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Orlando lost, Chicago that can go. I think that's a loss. Indiana lost,
loss.
Milwaukee lost.
Wait. Is the Indiana game on the road
No, it's at home.
for the Nets are home?
The Nets are home.
Oh,
So,
then
I
they
mean,
might be fine because Tyrese Halliburton cannot play on the road. He's like the worst basketball player ever.
I
away
still
from
don't
home.
get. I was on a one-on-one a few weeks ago, and shout out to Bobby Chaffordini, our sports director. He was saying that Halliburton is on the same tier as Brunson, and although I do last year, and although
last year, yeah, this year, no.
I think they're on the same level, but Brunson is just miles better than Halliburton. in
So
my
then they're
opinion.
not on the same level.
in terms of like talent-wise, but like over.
Performance-wise, I see what you. So talent-wise,
Talent-wise-
but the performance consistency, all
yeah,
that.
performance consistency-wise, they're both on the same level. But when it comes to talent, Brunson is just miles, galaxies. Okay, there's like maybe 2% bias, but 90% is like I genuinely think that.
Maybe 15% bias.
I'll say 10.
We'll send
generous.
it to the stats guys. They'll run the numbers for you.
I'll have
Send
I'll have
it to
ESPN.
ESPN, yeah.
We'll have ESPN run the statistics. Like
78% chance to win. The first pitch hasn't even been thrown yet. What do you mean 78% chance to win? Oh, that flipped. I don't know.
they
Like,
get
one
a
pitch
first
gets
down.
thrown. Like one pitch gets. I Yeah, one guy, you get a first down on the first play of the game. Oh, their win probability just went up 37%. How? How did you calculate that?
Ohio State goes 3-0 on the first drive. Oh, it went from 70% Ohio State to now 43% Ohio State. It just it does. But anyway, unfortunately, back to the Nets real quick. Sorry, I didn't mean to disrespect all the Nets fans, but they're generally just nothing to talk about with your team. Like, I guess just look forward to the future. You got all these picks from the Knicks, although they're going to be very late first round picks. I mean, it's better than nothing at all. But I guess
they need the tank for Cooper Flag.
Yep.
They might honestly get Cooper Flag.
Yeah,
they'll probably be
hopefully.
one of those teams that like finishes like seventh or eighth.
Who else is gonna be as bad as them this year?
The Nets are gonna be like the Hawks this year. Like they have like maybe a 5% chance, maybe, and the Nets somehow do good for a little bit. They have like a 5% chance to get the first overall pick, and then just like
they're gonna sell. They'll
and
win
then-
like 10 games, and like they'll win like 10 or 15, and then it'll be like, well,
They
we
need
just
the-
went from the first pick to like the.
They
10th
need the
pick.
battle against the Wizards.
the
They need
Nets
to-
are either gonna have a
It's gonna
top
be
2
hard.
pick, or they're gonna be like 13 or 14. There's no in the middle for the Nets. It's either they're gonna have the first pick or they're gonna have the 14th pick. There's literally like no in between with the Nets.
Well, Nets fans are looking to the future, and so should you, because when we come back, we're going to have something a little bit new, a little bit exciting for you. You probably haven't you definitely haven't seen it on this show before. I won't spoil it for you, so you'll just have to stay right where you are, stick around on WFUV Sports YouTube, and keep on listening on 90.7.
How's it going, everyone? Will Talent here, your New York Giants beat reporter for the 2024 season. Follow alongside me at talent_Will on X to catch all of the updates on your New York Football Giants from MetLife Stadium. With rookie sensation Malik Neighbors and big free agent acquisition Brian Burns, WFUV Sports is the place for Big Blue coverage. WFUV, your home for New York sports.
You are listening to One on One on WFUV Sports. It's time for our fun new segment where our fourth host, well, I guess fifth, because Angel already hopped on, so we'll go fifth host, ChatGPT. He's going to ask us some fun and interesting questions. If you have any fun, interesting, thought-provoking questions, feel free to call in and join us at 718-817-2750. Here we go. The first question from Mr. ChatGPT himself. If you could add a brand new pitch to baseball, physics do not matter in this situation, what would it be called and how would it work? We'll start with former All-American club baseball pitcher Max Spitza.
So I don't know if you guys have ever played backyard baseball, but there's a
Like the
pit-
game or?
the game.
Okay.
There's a pitch in backyard baseball. It's called the zigzag, and it cuts back and forth until it gets to the zone. That would be the pitch. How it would be called the zigzag because just simple. How would it work? I just explained that physics don't exist in this whatsoever. I don't think there's a single thing that
yeah,
you could ever do.
ChatGPT very much was very clear that physics are not important.
Yeah, because I do not think that would be able to be possible, but it would be awesome. I was going to go with the slime ball, but I went with the zigzag.
So for me, so this is completely hypothetical, right? Like this is like
physics don't exist, so I would say yes.
So it's called the phantom curveball.
The phantom curveball. Oh God.
So like
it disappears.
So yeah, it goes invisible right before it's about to go into the strike zone. Like if you guys ever played that July 4th Google baseball game back in middle school, you know what the phantom pitch where it's like it's a fastball straight down the middle, but then it slowly turns invisible, so you kind of have to like time it. But it's a curveball, so it's a phantom curveball. It goes away as soon as it's about to hit the strike zone. So that's just kind of mine a little bit. The zigzag is also a good pitch too.
I have two options. First would be Bowser's Mario Super Slugger power-up fastball. That's literally just a fireball. That's like 1,000 miles an hour. That's impossible to hit. He just throws a fireball at you. I feel like that'd be pretty cool. Or MLB The Show's Knuckleball, when you turn up all of your pitcher stats to 99 except for the break to 0, and they literally just you don't know where the ball's going. MLB The Show's Knuckleball would probably be the one because it is pretty much the zigzag, except it's more unhittable. So probably that.
I don't know. I've hit some bombs off of that.
No, yeah, no, not with the pitcher sliders turned up to 99 and then the break to 0, because then it just literally it's impossible to hit.
Unless you get lucky, maybe. I mean,
yeah, but more hittable than the zigzag, or less hittable than the zigzag.
Zigzag is unhittable.
I would have gone slime ball personally if I was you.
You could basically you could technically throw a slime ball today. Just,
technically.
Get a little bit and then
that's disgusting. That is.
You've never seen Major League? You've never seen Major League?
I did. That's gross. Where did anyone here? You know what? You mentioned it earlier, so we'll go to this mascot question. If the NFL created a mascot bowl, which mascot would dominate and why? And which mascot do you think would be the worst? I'm actually going to start this one off. What surface is this game being played on?
What do you mean surface?
The
what's the
MetLife turf.
Okay, so they would all suck then probably. Well, no, the birds would be the best then because they don't actually have to be on the turf.
No, but like it's a mascot bowl, so it's like the mascots themselves, like the guys in the costumes.
Oh, you thought
well,
this
probably
was
still the dolphin.
Probably
still the dolphin. Probably still the Dolphins.
Does it have to be NFL mascots or can it be? Any mascot?
It quite clearly says if the NFL created a mascot.
No, but like every time they have a mascot bowl or a mascot game, they always just bring in every.
Well, then the answer is the LSU Tigers. They have a tiger.
Yeah, but it's the mascot.
Their mascot is not. They have a live tiger. That's their mascot.
No, but I would count like the guy in the costume as their mascot.
Oh, well then the BYU Cougar. Have you seen that dude? He has like a 50-inch vertical.
He was gonna be. That was gonna be mine.
And he like drives motor.
Sparky, because Sparky like isn't bulky. It's the ASU mascot.
Oh, the ASU mascot.
It's like the same thing where it's like they didn't make him super.
Yeah,
but Fanatic would be the worst.
Yeah, but it's definitely
the Fanatic.
It's the answer's the BYU Cougar then. If we're going anything, not just NFL, it's definitely the BYU Cougar. Like that guy's insane. He does like 6 backflips in a row. He might be the best athlete.
Did you see him hit the golf cart the other day?
And he was unfazed. He got nailed by a golf cart. He might be the greatest athlete besides Tyler Toney from Dude Perfect. The BYU Cougar might be the greatest athlete on this planet.
That was the Texan in him speaking right there.
That guy doesn't lose. It's Tyler. Oh no, the Panda's the Dude Perfect mascot, not Tyler Toney.
I mean, but the Panda's also. Well, that's not obviously.
The answer's to BYU Cougar. He would definitely be the worst. I think.
He could just moss everybody. Like you just throw up a 30-yard bomb every single time, and the BYU Cougar just 50-inch vert. Just.
And the worst one would be the Indiana Fever's little baby mascot that Caitlin Clark loves, the little tiny one.
Oh yeah.
That Caitlin Clark's in love with. Yeah, the little tiny.
What's what the NBA always doing? The NBA is always like, all right, I have an idea. We've had this mascot forever. Let's make a small one.
Yeah, like the Rockets. The Rockets have
the blow up. Like they have the big blow up mascots, and then it's like
let's
have a baby one.
Let's have a tiny one. Yeah.
And one day let's have the big one eat the small one. It's like every NBA team does that.
I'm just hoping the NFL doesn't do like you got the Colts mascot Blue, who's an absolute mess. There's like full compilations on YouTube of the Colts mascot just going absolutely like being a menace, but like that's so stupid. Like you have like this big mascot, and then you just like why not make a small one?
I will say with the one argument with the ASU mascot is him and the U of A mascot once got in a fist fight, and the
mascots?
and the ASU mascot like rocked.
Yeah, that was years
like
ago. It's new
rocked
people,
him.
new blood.
Dude, I don't know.
It's like their children or something.
So
The mascots
gets
have
passed
reproduced.
down. It's like
Yeah.
a lineage.
Exactly. The ancestors fought, but not anymore. The BYU Cougars evolved over time to just be the apex predator of the planet.
Of mascots.
Oh,
Go to the next one.
here's thank you for your permission. Here's a good one. Real big fan of this one. If MLB players had to take over as an NFL team for one game and NBA players for another, which MLB team would make the best dual sport stand-ins, and how would they fare? So if an MLB team had to play an NFL game and then an NBA game, what team would be the best? And the answer is quite obviously the Yankees, because, I mean, they have a 6'7" dude. They have another 6'6" dude. And then Juan Soto's like 6'3". So, like, it's them.
They also have Jazz Chisholm's really athletic.
Yeah.
Fast, too.
Yeah, he's super athletic.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Anthony Volpe was probably
Volpe could be a good pass. He's a passing point guard.
Although
pass first.
Yeah. Who's playing quarterback though for the Yankees? And why is it Austin Wells? I just answered my own question. There you go. Garrett Cole's probably, I don't know, playing like
Garrett Cole's
left
the offensive
bench
coordinator.
Yeah, he's holding the play sheet.
Or imagine if the Phillies, but like 5 years ago when they're all still young.
What team is Sean Jelly playing for? The 6'10" pitcher?
That's so
Is
crazy.
he still a Giant? It's
but
probably the Giants then.
You're in the wrong sport if you're 6'10" and a pitcher. I'm sorry. But
Yeah, and he throws like 91 too. Like, what? Come on, bud.
that's actually crazy.
Use those long levers.
He could be locking up Wemby.
Well,
maybe
no,
not locking up
I
Wemby,
don't
but
know.
he could be. He should be. You shouldn't be 6'10" playing baseball. I'm sorry, not to be disrespectful, but if I was 6'10", I'd be playing basketball. My opinion, but that's still I still can't wrap my head around that there's actually a 6'10" pitcher. Is he still playing or is it?
Yeah.
Should be.
He's still playing.
Sean Shelley or Jelly or something. yeah. Definitely still playing.
Whew.
Oh, big fan of this one. Big fan of this one. If NBA centers, NFL wide receivers, and MLB shortstops competed in the high-stakes obstacle course race, what world does ChatGPT think we live in that high-stakes obstacle course races are happening? Which group would win? MLB shortstops, NFL wide receivers, or
The wide
NBA
receivers.
centers?
Well, hold on.
I don't know, man. I'm
Is-
taking Ellie
is the
De La Cruz
opposite-
in like anything you could possibly
Wait,
throw
are
at me.
the
Yeah, but like
in terms of like the
you're counting all of them now.
It's definitely not NBA centers because Jokic is not running an obstacle course.
We should
Embiid
switch
is
that. We
not
should
running
switch
an
that
obstacle
to
course.
NBA point guards,
Small forwards.
small forwards. I like small.
I would take the MLB shortstops because like
I would take, dude. I'm taking Ellie De La Cruz in any feat of athleticism you could possibly ask for.
like imagine having like Ellie De La Cruz or
O'Neal
even like
Cruz,
Francisco Lindor or like the
Jeremy
shortstop-
Pena,
Exactly. Like I just
incredible athlete.
especially if it's like a speed
Plus, have you
race.
seen that dude? Have you seen ripped? I don't know if we've talked about that. Ripped,
Have you
shredded.
seen any NFL wide receiver, dude?
I don't know, dude. They're like, how
DK Metcalf
dude,
or
have
like-
you
You
seen
have
Braxton
Metcalf,
Berrios?
you could have
Braxton Berrios is like
Tyreek Hill.
5'7". Okay, I don't care.
You can have Hoskins.
Reese Hoskins.
No. For wide receivers,
Hoskins.
Hopkins. Sorry, Hopkins. I don't know why I said Hoskins.
I don't think I would.
I
choose
was
DeAndre
thinking of
Hopkins.
Hoskins,
I would
but-
choose like Tyreek Hill, like the fast guys, because if it's like a speed race,
I'd have
like-
Metcalf in there too, just in case.
in case like like you need like someone that's like strong. But I would take
Give me
MLB.
Ellie, baby. Give me Ellie De La
Yeah,
Cruz.
I'm with the MLB shortstop. MLB shortstop are arguably some of the fastest guys.
Can we take Mookie Betts? Because he played a couple of games at shortstop this year, and that guy's the greatest athlete ever. I mean, he does everything. Incredible bowler. He can dunk. He's like 5'9" and
But
he
he's
can
a
dunk.
great pickleball player too.
He said he's incredible at pickleball. I'd take Mookie Betts in probably any sport you could possibly throw at me. So,
That's not too bad.
so are we taking like primary shortstops, or can we do secondary shortstops too? Because
I would still take MLB shortstops.
yeah, because I'm
regardless.
taking Mookie Betts and Ellie De La Cruz.
Like you can even do NBA point guards, and I would still choose the MLB shortstops any day of the week. NFL wide receivers, unless you have a billion Tyreek Hills, I just don't see how the wide receivers would necessarily win. I feel like speed, like is what the most important thing would be in terms of like this specific race. So I mean the NBA point guards can be interesting if you have like Steph Curry, De'Aaron Fox, like.
I don't think I'd pick Curry though. He's not like athletic like I'm thinking.
But
I'm
if it's
thinking,
like
Darius Garland,
if it's like a
De'Aaron
race,
Really,
Fox.
no, but if
Steph
you had some
Curry has
golf
some
in
of
there,
the
have
greatest.
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry has like the best stamina and like all time. Like even like Matthew Dellavedova went on a podcast and was like, I almost died on the court guarding Steph Curry running around. So like imagine if you have like that little road runner just like on your team. Still should have been Steph Curry who won that Finals MVP.
Definitely should have been.
But this is not pick and pod. This is 1-on-1, and we are talking about.
Nor is this a serious sports conversation. This is a conversation in which I ask if you could combine. Oh wait, yeah. If you could combine one MLB pitcher, an NFL quarterback, and an NBA point guard to compete in an Olympic archery contest, who are you picking and why?
So is it like all of their attributes combined together, or is it?
I believe so.
Or is it each individual is on one team?
I believe you're combining these three people into one human being that is an elite archer.
So for MLB, I feel like for the pitcher, I would personally, if you need power, I'd go with Paul Skeens. If you need like
that's certainly an option.
If you need like power, and then for accuracy, Joe Burrow, 100%. If I need the accuracy aspect, I'd pick Joe Burrow. And then for NBA, I guess maybe to add on to the accuracy, I'd probably go Steph Curry for the NBA.
Well, I would probably take Darius Garland for his vision.
That's true.
He's got
Darius
good
Garland's
vision.
good vision.
And I feel like if you're an archer, you got to be able to see.
That's true.
I would take.
It's kind of tough because it's like you can go really.
I would take Anthony Richardson because I feel like he's powerful. So he can. It's an Olympic archery contest, so I feel like your strength isn't really as important because they shoot those bows that like don't take a whole lot to. The draw weight on those Olympic bows aren't great, but I would take Anthony Richardson. And then a pitcher. I feel like long levers again, long arms. I feel like I'm going to take Chris Sale.
I was going to say Chris Sale.
That's valid. Chris Sale's valid.
I just have Chris Sale, Joe Burrow, just because, you got to have some frosted tips out there.
Or Madison Bumgarner. Nerves of steel.
No, he does not have nerves of steel.
What do you mean, dude?
He gives up a home run, and he's like, up.
Yeah, D-backs Madison Bumgarner. Not, I'm talking like prime.
Oh, you're talking
2014.
Prime. No, but we're talking
World
now.
Series.
We're talking right now.
Well, then current. Give me Walker Buehler. Again, nerves of steel.
I would still take Chris Sale.
Yeah, me too. If I had to choose between Chris Sale and Walker Buehler,
Nathan Eovaldi.
Chris Sale.
2019.
Chris Sale just won the Cy Young.
Or 2018. Nathan
Unanimous, I believe, Cy Young, right?
Yep, but he still lost to the White Sox. Fun fact. Fun fact. That's what he said. That's what he said. He said, hey, I won the Cy Young, but I still lost to the worst team in the history of baseball.
I'm just glad that the Mets don't have that title anymore. When they lost like 2 games or something? 118?
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the Astros lost like 100 games like 4 years in a row. So, and that was my childhood. So
I like the Survivor question.
You want me? Okay. Survival question. Build a survival team with one player from each of the MLB, the NFL, and the NBA to compete on a Survivor-esque reality show. Who's your trio, and what special skill does each bring to the team? I'm going to start with my NFL player, and then you guys can come back to me for MLB and NBA. My answer is Mac Hollins. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He plays for the Bills. He does a series on TikTok where he just fixes things around his house. He doesn't wear shoes because he believes that barefoot is better. So he when he does have to wear shoes, he wears the barefoot shoes. He shows up to the stadium barefoot on game days because he's just a rugged man.
He just likes to ground himself.
Yeah,
I like that.
he's one of those guys, right? And
he believes grounding
he
starts
fixes
in the parking
things.
lot on the asphalt.
He fixes things all over his house, so he's handy. Plus, the Bills did a TikTok, and it's like, if you were stranded on an island, who would you want to be with? And the answer was Mac Hollins. So I'm taking Mac Hollins as my NFL player. NBA, I'm gonna take LeBron James because I feel like he's got a lot of connections. So like he'll just call in like a helicopter or a private jet for us to get us out of there if we're stuck.
No, but it's like the show Survivor.
Yeah,
so
but
they're, like
also
doing like games. And
yeah,
stuff.
but also so still LeBron James. I mean, look at that man.
That's true.
My glorious king.
That was my NBA player too. I was gonna go with LeBron.
MLB wise, I'm gonna take.
Please don't say my player that I'm thinking of.
Can I take Madison Bumgarner again?
Why?
He's a Cowboy.
I'm gonna take Mookie Betts.
Madison Bumgarner does
But
rodeo.
this is like a survival thing.
Yeah, he does
like,
rodeo, dude.
It's not like it's
Have
like
you watched the dude ride
Mookie
a bull?
We just said how Mookie Betts is like the best athlete. Yeah, a lot of the games they do are all athletic based.
We're surviving though. Like I don't think Mookie Betts knows
No,
how to
but
cook
it's
rice.
like the reality show Survivor.
I don't think Mookie Betts knows how to cook rice or build a shelter.
And then for the for the NFL,
Who's
I want
building my shelter other than Matt Collins, not Mookie Betts.
For the NFL, I want Aaron Rodgers, just because I feel like he is connected.
Smoke ayahuasca and get lost in the woods.
He's connected with the wilderness enough that he could do this.
With the
and then
spirits of the
finally,
wood?
I want Anthony Edwards. Because I think he would mess with everyone else in the competition.
I
so
feel like
much.
morale would be so bad. He'd just be clowning you. Like he'd throw you in the ocean and be like, "Ah, what happened?"
But it would all be
He'd, like,
directed
jumping
towards the
over
other
you.
team.
I don't know.
I was thinking the same
I don't
thing
know.
for that. For NBA, I'd probably I would have said Patrick Beverly if he was still in the league, just because like that mentality, like he's gonna get in your head and like encourage you to do well. I would have said Dylan Brooks, but then my mind went to Patrick Beverly because like Patrick Beverly is like genuinely a menace. Dylan Brooks is just I don't really want to say, but he's kind of like
fake tough guy.
He's a fake tough guy. So that's why for my NBA player, I'd go Patrick Beverly.
I'd go John Morant.
I'm not gonna say a word about. I'm just gonna
We're gonna ignore that comment.
We're gonna ignore that. We're just gonna.
Good guy.
We're gonna move on.
Give me Zach Edey.
So for MLB, I was thinking Ohtani just because he can like basically do everything, like pitching, hitting.
Such a sheep. You've been corrupted by the ESPN media.
I
complex.
still think Lindor should have won MVP.
Okay.
All right, maybe that's a little far.
But like
that'll probably end this segment.
How much defensive value does Ohtani have? He had as much defensive
Literally
value.
zero.
Literally as much as all of us combined in the studio. Zero. Zit. Nada. Nothing.
True. Well, that's definitely an interesting take. So you went Ohtani in a survival situation. You want to be on a survivor tribe with a guy that you do not speak the same language as.
No, but like
you can't communicate with him.
He's gotten better though. He's pretty solid now.
He doesn't speak English.
He speaks a little bit.
He's getting there. He's getting there.
He spoke a little bit of Spanish with
You are
Teoscar
not a
Hernandez.
hot woman.
Hey, by
You're
the
not a
time
hot
he's
woman. He
inducted
cannot-
into the Hall of Fame, he will be able to do the
he
whole
only
speech
speaks
in
English with hot women, and you are not that, unfortunately.
I think, fortunately, I'm glad I'm myself, but
Okay, I don't know what this segment.
I still think Ohtani would have been a good. Ohtani would have been a good choice. Like
you don't speak the same language as him. I think
he
it's
speaks.
hard.
He spoke a little bit of Spanish with Teoscar Hernandez. That's something.
You probably
You
practiced
don't
that
speak
for so long,
Spanish.
though. Yeah. Do you speak Spanish?
A little bit. He said "Hola, cómo está" to Teoscar
But-
Hernandez. That's
But
enough.
you also don't speak Spanish, so it doesn't matter if he speaks
But, like,
Spanish.
I understand "Hola, cómo está." Like
You're trying to build a shelter and like
gonna have to get
communicate and
past
do like
the- you're
you're
gonna have to
trying to
get
do
past the greeting.
blindfolded puzzles through
You're gonna have to
communication.
get past the
Yeah.
greeting to be able to win.
All right, I don't know if I love that choice, but this segment was hopefully entertaining for you all because it definitely devolved pretty quickly. On the other side of this break, we'll discuss the abyss that is NFL football in New York these days. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 1-on-1 90.7 and WFUV Sports YouTube channel.
You're listening to WFUV, New York.
And we are back to hour number 3 of One on One. Feel free to call in at 718-817-2750. We would love to field your questions. That is 718-817-2750. Let's get right into the Jets, shall we? 3-8 to start the season. They already fired Robert Saleh earlier. They fired Joe Douglas. I read a couple of interesting articles about the Jets. First off, slightly less interesting, which is saying something, because Rex Ryan says he is the best candidate for the Jets head coaching job. Yes, you were hearing that right. In the big 2024, Rex Ryan has come out and said that he is the best candidate for the Jets head coaching job. Crazy. Another crazy article I read, Woody Johnson, owner of the Jets, has a 17-year-old son. And allegedly, he's pulling strings behind the curtain. Just he's reading social media, he's seeing what fans are saying, and then he's going to his dad and being like, "We got to do this. The fans hate everything, so let's do that." So reportedly, from a couple of Jet sources, Woody Johnson's 17-year-old son is influencing decisions based off of what social media is saying. You also have Aaron Rodgers, who is also influencing decisions, probably off of just whatever the spirits in his head are telling him to do.
The darkness retreats that he goes on.
Yeah, like the phantoms and the ghosts of MetLife past telling him who knows what is going on. The Jets are in a state, so tell me about it. What do you got? 'Cause
it's just a dumpster fire. Like, ever since
they're collapsing.
The moment they fired Robert Saleh, that was when it just went down the drain.
I mean, there's literally reports saying the Jets have just the players have given up on the season.
And
we are in week 11 or 12 or something like that. I think 12, 11. We're in a week.
Week 12.
Relatively early in the season. We still have 7 games left for most of these teams. And the Jets have just given up on the season. That is what the locker room doesn't want to be there. The coach is gone. The GM is gone. Aaron Rodgers is player, coach, GM all at the same time. He's 40 million years old. He won't be there next year. The Jets won't have a quarterback. They don't. Their best player, Sauce Gardner, looks like a bottom 5 cornerback in the league. What is going on with the Jets this season? Everything looks horrible.
You talked about how Woody Johnson's son is like influencing all the decisions. Remember that clip that went viral right after the draft where Joe's showing X's kids who should we take?
Oh yeah.
And Jaden Daniels, one of his sons said, "Jaden Daniels, trade up for him. You won't see another guy like him next year."
If only the Jets had that guy.
And now look what. Well, we'll talk about the Giants later, but look what would have happened if they listened. So I feel like it's kind of crazy that now owners are using their kids to make decisions. I'm sure, like, even the kid's probably thinking, like, "Geez, what is my dad doing?"
Clearly that kid doesn't know what he's doing because the Jets are. That kid should be fired from the family.
I could do a better job. Do you guys want to be the owner of the Jets?
I would love to be the owner of the Jets, honestly, because it means I have a lot of
money. I would completely restructure
Maybe
that.
You could move them into New York.
I would definitely, first thing I would do if I acquired the Jets would be move them out of MetLife. Or just replace probably just move them out of MetLife. Like, I don't know, I'd figure it out. Let's go to Westchester.
I think the biggest issue is just Aaron Rodgers. They put so much faith in him. But, like, he got his head coach fired. He did the same. He's doing all what he did for the Packers at the end of his career there.
Here we go.
That he's doing it right now. He's doing it again. And I'm with Jets fans where it's hard to – you're so excited every season for Aaron Rodgers. I was excited every season as a Packers fan for Aaron Rodgers. But that last year, he corrupted the culture of the team. Like, he did it on the Packers. All he would do on post-game conferences is talk how bad his rookie receivers are. Started doing the same thing for the Jets. Started talking about his coach, doing the same thing for the Jets. He's a great player, and I think he's going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and I'm always going to be an Aaron Rodgers fan. But he's not what the Jets need whatsoever. And you kind of got rid, like, who's their backup right now?
Oh, do they even have a backup?
Backup quarterback?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Like at this point, you have to play Aaron Rodgers. You can't even bench him because
there is a lot of talk about bench. Woody Johnson allegedly wants to bench him.
But it's like who do you put in?
Tyrod Taylor, and then you at the third string Adrian Martinez, and then Jordan Travis, FSU's own Jordan Travis is on the Jets, but he's out for the season with undisclosed injury.
If I was the Jets, I would do exactly what the Packers did and just draft a first-round quarterback.
They should, yeah. I mean, but the thing is,
I don't
Rodgers
mean
won't
to
be there
interrupt,
next year.
but the backup QB is Tyrod Taylor. Just to confirm those sources.
Honestly, give him a shot.
He'd
Give him a
probably
shot.
be
Get him out there.
Former Giants legend. I'm just kidding. He was not Giants legend. He actually was garbage for the Giants.
What did he start his career with the Bills, I believe? Or am I thinking of E.J. Manuel? No, I'm thinking of both because they had a quarterback battle. E.J. Manuel, that's a throwback.
That's a crazy pull.
Yeah, but they had a quarterback battle. Tyrod Taylor and old E.J. Manuel did back in, 2014?
Yeah. I think it's just time to bench Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is into it. Aaron Rodgers is thinking about not even coming back.
He's thinking
next
about
year.
going.
He's thinking about retiring.
He's thinking
largely.
about, I don't know.
I mean, the worst thing he could ever do to me is go to the Vikings and complete the Brett Favre cycle. But
he'd have to retire first and then come back.
Yeah.
I think
let's not have him retire then.
Aaron Rodgers would just retire, and then just randomly Tom Brady 40 days later.
No, but he won't come back. But he won't come back. See,
he wouldn't
Aaron
go back
Rodgers
to the
doesn't
Jets.
care. He just doesn't care about football anymore.
He has enough stuff outside of football that he could retire right now and be set for the
He should just come back to the Packers for a year, just go an absolute revenge tour.
Thing is, I don't want that. I like Jordan.
You don't
Love.
want him back?
Nah, I got Jordan Love.
Jordan Love is at
Jordan
this
Love
point.
is.
But you don't just want 1 year of Aaron, just an absolute revenge tour.
Why
right
would
before
you
he
want
retires?
that though? Jordan Love is a significantly better quarterback at this point. In time.
He would come back, and
the
all our receivers would be back in Nam, they'd be having flashbacks,
Back in Nam,
getting just screamed at, and just getting trash talked about him in the media the entire time. That's why I want Jordan Love more than Aaron Rodgers. We're getting away from that though. I just think the Jets, there's so much expectations going into this season. Full season of Aaron Rodgers. The D-line was expected to be fantastic this year. I don't know. It's just nothing.
The defense that has been the biggest surprise I think for the Jets is that the defense just hasn't been what it was supposed to be.
Top
I mean, last
five.
year,
top three.
Last year the defense
even
was elite.
arguably.
Last year the defense was arguably the best defense in the league, and then this year, I mentioned earlier, Sauce has taken a massive step back. Everything else just hasn't clicked. The run defense is pitiful. The pass defense has not been nearly what it needs to be, and a lot of that is they're on the field all the time because Aaron Rodgers can't score a touchdown, and the Nathaniel Hackett is I guess exists.
I mean, you can't
they can't fire him because Aaron Rodgers loves him.
You can't lose to
the Jets are kind of in a shadow realm where they can't do a lot
lose
this
to
year
a team like
because
the
of Aaron
Cardinals
Rodgers,
31-6. You can't lose to the Cardinals 31-6.
The thing about the Jets is I think they're actually in a better situation than the Giants because the Jets have a harder schedule, which is funny to say. The Giants unfortunately had to play a bunch of terrible teams that they could luck into winning a couple and screw their draft position. The Jets have a significantly harder schedule because they play in the AFC East. And so they have
they may not win another game this season.
Exactly, and I think that's best case scenario for the Jets.
It's not even impossible. Think about Seahawks. That's a loss.
That's a loss.
Dolphins loss.
The Rams
Jaguars.
is probably their best
that can
chance.
go.
The Jags, they probably beat the Jags, but who knows? Trevor Lawrence is prone to having a couple streaks that
It's
going to
be like a 17-12.
It's gonna be like a 7-6 game. Just
They're gonna score. They're gonna score
where
four.
Brees Hall runs for
field goals.
85 yards and no touchdowns, and has 7 catches for 25 yards and no touchdowns.
And then you got Rams loss, Bills that's another loss, and then Dolphins that's a loss.
Dolphins
so
loss.
There's a realistic.
Have they played the Patriots twice already?
They must have.
Think. Yeah, they
yes,
just.
I'm getting the thumbs up from the booth. So yes, they have.
Wow. So the Jets realistically.
No, they beat them once though.
Yeah, well that's because
24-3.
I don't think Drake May played that game, or that might have been Drake May's second game.
But still, I don't think the Jets are going to win another game this year, and they'll have.
And I think that's best case scenario for them because they can just go draft a quarterback.
Just tank, what's stopping you?
Do they have?
You have no the Jets and the Giants, but we'll talk about the Giants later. Have no purpose in winning any more games.
Let's think about that real quick. Who would you want to see the Jets draft as a quarterback?
But do you draft a quarterback? Because like, what if
I think you do. I mean,
what if Aaron Rodgers does this thing like, oh, like I'm not coming back, and then like a month before the season, oh, I'm coming back. So
well,
it's
then you
like,
bench him.
You're kind of at like
You do exactly what you did with Jordan Love, that the Packers did with Jordan Love, where if you play Aaron Rodgers, you play him, and you just have whoever you draft learn from one of the best quarterbacks of our generation, and then from that point on, like they become a great quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we've kind of like talked about on College Gridiron several times that this quarterback class is extremely like disappointing. So you kind of like, do you draft Shedeur Sanders? Do you draft Cam Ward? Do you draft?
I don't think Sanders would fit great for this Jets team.
Shedeur Sanders is 1,000,000,000% going to the Giants. It's just like inevitable to happen. As much as I really don't. I mean,
maybe.
Quinn Ewers.
No, it's gonna be either Milroe or Cam Ward.
Can Travis Hunter play quarterback? Like, he honestly, we'll talk about Giants later, but Travis Hunter could probably be a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers right now. Like, he already plays wide receiver and cornerback. Why not just add another position, and then maybe he can play kick return while you're at it.
It's the Jets will probably end up with like the third or fourth pick. They'll probably take either Cam Ward or Jalen Milroe as the second quarterback off the board. That's my guess, at least.
Yeah, and then Shedeur Sanders probably go to. It'll probably be the first pick, honestly.
No. It'll be the first quarterback off the board will be either Milroe or Ward, and then they'll be second, and then Shedeur will be the third quarterback off the board.
The Browns or the Raiders. Probably.
Yeah,
because like the Raiders need a quarterback, the Browns need a quarterback.
Jags don't need a quarterback.
A lot of teams need. There's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft.
Titans need a quarterback.
Quinn Ewers.
He
Good enough.
could be higher if Arch Manning didn't steal some of his game time.
Quinn Ewers, I just don't like his deep accuracy. He can't throw the ball deep. But we talked about college football earlier. This isn't really a scouting show because we don't really know anything about anything. We're just a bunch of idiots talking about sports. Don't listen to us for our in-depth scouting opinions unless you want to listen to me talk about Carson Beck, who I am still high on, which you might think is stupid.
No.
But I am. I am still high on Carson Beck as an NFL quarterback. Terrible college quarterback, not good, but I'm high on him as an NFL quarterback.
Wow. I mean, I think Carson Beck is a fraud. Like,
many people are saying that, but
I can't wait for him to play his first NFL game, and he goes like,
"That's your next Giants quarterback."
I will take anybody but Carson Beck or Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is also a huge, huge fraud.
Not Will Howard. He just threw a pick, by the way.
Are you serious?
I am.
That is crazy time. Like, we're just talking about college football quarterbacks and Will Howard throws a pick. Classic Will Howard. But, I mean, I just think Carson Beck, he's going to play his first NFL game, go 10 of 27, 0 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions against some random team. But, yeah.
Well, no.
I'm praying that the Giants.
He'll throw 3 touchdowns. He'll throw 3 interceptions in the first half and then 3 touchdowns in the second half.
Joe Schoen, if you're watching this, please.
Joe Schoen is not going to be there. He's getting.
I hope not, but please, whoever's there, that camera right there, do not draft Carson Beck. Whatever you do, I don't care who you draft. You can draft Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, anybody. Just don't draft Carson Beck, please. I am begging you, please.
I mean, at this point, I think they have to. I don't think they can bench Aaron Rodgers because I feel like they have to play him so he stays. Like, I think they need to keep him happy.
They don't
so
want.
whoever
They're
they
gonna have to pay him. They don't. It's
Even
not.
Jets fans don't want Aaron
it's
Rodgers
not
there.
a good idea.
He's
You
gotta go to the
don't.
Vikings.
You don't want Rodgers to return because then you have to pay him because he's gonna get a lot of money no matter what because he's Aaron Rodgers. Like, so you have to pay him if he comes back, and you don't want to be paying your 40-year-old quarterback, $35 million. And then also have a rookie who you're paying $20 million to.
And then, what if
then
that rookie
one of them
goes
has to
crazy?
play.
Like, what if the rookie has like an insane,
and then
few
you've got
seasons, and then you got to pay that.
And then
dude.
you've got an all-time great sitting on your bench getting paid $40 million, and like no one's happy. And then every time the rookie makes a mistake, oh well, you should bring in Aaron Rodgers. Or every time Aaron Rodgers makes a mistake, you should bring in your first-round rookie. And it's not a good situation.
It's like the Colts.
It's not a Jordan Love Aaron Rodgers situation. In which, Aaron Rodgers is 34 years old and he's got plenty of time left. It's a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and it's going to be more of an Eli Manning situation of let's bring in Daniel Jones. Let's see the new thing, right? And so Aaron Rodgers remaining on this Jets team, if they take a quarterback, is not in anyone's best interest.
I'm honestly going to go back on my last statement. I think they should just bench Aaron Rodgers. Be like, hey, thanks for nothing.
Just get rid of him.
Go ahead and sit. Like, go ahead and sit the rest of the year.
After this offseason, just get rid of him.
Because they're not looking to like give any of their backup quarterbacks like an opportunity to show what they got. Like, they're gonna be drafting a quarterback.
Yeah.
Might as well not might as well give yourself the lowest possibility of winning and just bench Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he would mind.
Or you keep Aaron Rodgers.
I think he would mind.
Or you
No.
can keep Aaron
I think
Rodgers.
he'd take the money and be like, thanks.
Or like maybe hypothetically, let's say Aaron Rodgers takes a 1-year deal, right? You have that rookie learn from. I mean, right now Aaron Rodgers is questionable.
It's just not going to be at the Jets. Like Aaron Rodgers won't stay for the Jets.
No, he's not gonna be a Jet next year. And
He's
that's
saying
fine.
he's stating on.
He should just retire. Like there's really nothing left.
I think it's just one of those things where it's like he's one of the legends in the game, but when you have a guy going out to the public and to the media saying, "I don't want to play on this team next year," like I know you're paying him, so you kind of need to play him, but like you're not gonna make the playoffs at this point. Like
the Jets should just get rid of him after the season. Just part ways and let Aaron Rodgers figure out the next darkness retreat or the next time he needs to.
Or just go force him into a darkness retreat, lock the door, and don't ever take him out. Put him down. Old Yeller Room. I don't know. We're going to switch MetLife locker rooms on the other side of this break to talk about the other dumpster fire in New York football. It's the Giants on the other side of this break on 90.7 WFUV Sports.
I'm Chaz McAdams. And I'm Ben Oppenheimer. And we are two of your hosts for On the Hill, the flagship podcast of Fordham Athletics.
We'll be talking about everything from football at Moglia Stadium
to hoops at the historic Rose Hill Gym.
Discussing the ins and outs of all Ram athletes, teams, and big games.
If you want to be part of the Ramily, then listen to On the Hill from WFUV Sports.
Welcome back into the Rose Hill studio here on the lovely Fordham University Rose Hill campus. It is time for probably the most anticipated segment of the day. It's a little bit of Giants football here on One-on-One. A lot of news going on in Giants world. Daniel Jones is out. Tommy DeVito is in. Drew Lock got skipped over and is somehow still the third-string quarterback. I don't really know what happened. I think he should play. Who cares? Daniel Jones, demoted to fourth-string quarterback, playing scout team safety, and then promptly released. Or cut. I guess released. It's the end of an era. Six years as a starter, 64% completion, 14,000 passing yards, 70 touchdowns. 47 interceptions and 50 fumbles. That is 97 turnovers to 85 total touchdowns in 6 years. 97 turnovers. 24, 44, and 1 as a starter of the New York Football Giants. No longer. War is over. Daniel Jones is gone. Sort of. Dead cap of $47 million. 47, almost $50 million this year. And next year, still another 22 of dead cap. But is it worth it? Daniel Jones is out. A new quarterback will be in next year. As Giants fans, are we celebrating this move? Are we upset? I know a lot of people were very upset with ESPN for the way that they handled this because Daniel Jones released a thank you or a goodbye statement, and ESPN was basically clowning him like, you should have just done this like 3 years ago because you suck at football. And a lot of people were like, that's a little messed up, great guy. So I know ESPN got into some hot water for the way they handled this, but I also know a lot of Giants fans were very ecstatic that he was gone. So what are we feeling? I personally, they've come out and said they aren't going to do it, but I was a big fan of the Cowboys signing him. Daniel Jones picking up for the Thanksgiving game. I think that would have been the greatest
Just sort
thing
of a
ever.
revenge
so
game.
cool.
Just like
The Cowboys have come out and said that they're not really interested in doing that. So that was a nice little pipe dream for about 3 hours.
No, what they should do is pick him up on Wednesday,
let him play scout team safety.
give him like 5 hours to learn the playbook and be like, get out there, man.
Yeah. I
Do
mean,
a
it literally could not be worse.
Let him play safety.
It
like-
could not be worse than Cooper Rush.
What they would have to do is they'd have to bring out a whiteboard every play and just have him draw the plays up. Draw it up, and then like with the football
and
and
like the
like.
banners up, and then they just like have 3 guys just like.
But the banners, instead of like having symbols, it'll just have the play itself, and he's just gonna have to guess which play it is.
They
And
just
then
gotta do
Daniel
it.
Jones would find a way to fumble or throw an interception, even if the play is right in front of him.
50 fumbles as a quarterback in 6 years is absurd. He had 20 his rookie year. 20 fumbles as a rookie.
Wasn't that like a record? I think.
And he didn't even play 16 games.
I think that was like almost close, like a record in terms of, like fumbles for a QB in their rookie year, 20. And as a Giants fan, I am so glad that Daniel Jones is finally. He should have been gone 3 years ago after that playoff series or whatever.
I think he should have been cut immediately, like walking off the field that game where he fell over after the 60-yard run. I think he should have
100%.
walked up the field and immediately been cut.
No, 100%. And think about it. The 2 guys that they could have signed instead were Saquon, Xavier McKinney. Saquon is arguably the RB1 right now in football.
Hey, I don't know if you've seen this stat, but Tyrone Tracy, advanced statistically, nerds, not that much worse. Not that much worse of a season than Saquon Barkley's having right now.
But, like, think about it. Saquon Barkley, arguably RB1, and then Xavier McKinney, who's second in interceptions right now, just behind Kirby Joseph.
I don't think you should ever pay a running back, so I'm not too upset about
I-
Saquon
well,
being gone.
But then, would you rather pay Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley?
Well, Daniel Jones had already been paid. I mean, they gave that guy like $60 million.
No, but, like, you could have, like, it was like the time where, like, they both needed
They paid him like
contracts.
3 years ago, though.
But, like, imagine if the Giants. I mean, Tyrone Tracy has major upside. I see great things for Tyrone Tracy, but as a Saquon.
And Devin Singletary, stud. I know Giants fans
As
love
a
him.
very, very biased Saquon Barkley fan, like really biased, like, I've actually like met Saquon like at a Giants game, so that was pretty cool. So I'm very biased at Saquon, but I'm putting that to the side for now, and I still think, regardless, that the Giants should have signed Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney to maybe not long-term contracts, but maybe 2-year deals, maybe even like 3 years. But like, I just think the moment they signed Daniel Jones was like the turning point where they were going to be really bad.
I think the biggest issue is just talent evaluation, which has been something you've seen for the Giants for a while now. It's just, you hit on a guy like Dexter Lawrence, but then you have so many misses. You hit on a guy like Malik Neighbors, but
Malik Neighbors is really, really
how many
good.
receivers have they missed on though? Like, and how many Andrew Thomas? Like, how many draft picks has I think Sean's out at the end of this year as well.
He should have been out last year.
He'll be following in Joe Douglas's footsteps. So the Joes will be out as GMs, and
but like, what
new
do you
GM?
see?
I think it'll be a new coach, head coach next year. New
No, I don't
quarterback.
think Dable's getting fired.
I think Dable.
Nah.
You're
He
2-8.
He got dealt a really bad hand. Like, think about it. Like, imagine if Brian Daboll had like a Josh Allen or a Joe Burrow. Like, I think he would have.
The team just you're 2-8, and you've got.
But they shouldn't rebuild. The Giants, the biggest
what do you mean?
holes.
No, they have to rebuild. What do you mean
No,
they
the
shouldn't rebuild?
defense is solid.
You need a quarterback. You need a better offense. The offensive line hasn't been great.
Those are only 2 holes, in my opinion: the quarterback and the offensive line.
Running
Running
back,
back,
are the 2 most important pieces of a team.
and then once you
if those are your only 2
once
holes,
you solve those,
you don't
2
have a team.
Once you solve those 2 problems, you fix that.
But
'Cause
it's not that
Tyrone
easy.
Tracy, major upside. Malik Neighbors, rookie of the year contender. Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence are also really, really good. I don't think the Giants should blow it up.
Yeah,
You just
but fixing those 2 issues doesn't just take 1 draft; it takes like 3.
You can't
But
say
regardless,
you
the
can't
Giants
say your
shouldn't-
only 2 holes are the offensive line and the
Like
quarterback.
to fixing an offensive line is
our
like
only problem is we don't have the most important position or the second, third, fourth,
But the
fifth,
Giants,
or sixth
but
most important
the thing
position
about
on
the
the
Giants
offense.
solved one of those problems this year by drafting a quarterback, and then either in the later rounds or the following year, you fix the offensive line. Like the Giants could fix one of those holes.
Do they have how many first-round picks do they have? Just one this year?
I think so.
It's very difficult though to put a rookie quarterback behind an offensive line that's not going to.
I think they should.
You go offensive line first, and then
I would.
you look
I
at
would
Arch
take,
Manning next year. or the following year.
There's a lot of good offensive tackles in this draft. I think.
You know what? Honestly, draft the offensive line this year, and then draft Arch Manning. Like last time the Giants had a Manning, they won 2 Super Bowls. So why not?
Let that offensive line get enough experience in the league before you bring in that
Carson
next
Beck,
star
baby,
quarterback.
third-round quarterback. There's your quarterback. Found
No,
him. Take O-line first
You
round.
know what?
Take Carson Beck in
I'm
the third.
changing my mind. Draft the offensive line, and then draft Arch Manning when he becomes. Because think about it. The last time the Giants had a Manning,
I'm not
why
even
not run
a
it back?
Giant fan, and I think that's a terrible idea.
But the
Like,
last time the Giants had
to-
a Manning, they won 2 Super
Who
Bowls.
cares about if it's a Manning?
Maybe there's some
all right?
Manning luck in New York.
Listen,
why not just run it
if
back?
I think
you-
Bradley's just a fan of the storylines.
Bradley,
Imagine if Arch
Oh,
Manning gets
man.
out to the Giants and the Giants make the playoffs. Like, imagine that storyline. Like,
yeah, sure,
Or imagine if he comes and he sucks.
exactly.
okay, well then,
Imagine
Ruins
that
the
one.
legacy forever.
but imagine if like,
But
this,
at least he's a Manning.
this,
At least-
I mean, every Manning that's been in the NFL has been a Hall of Famer. Why not just
Arch
run it
Manning
back?
is not a Hall of Famer.
Well, he's still a freshman.
Let's take
so-
the delusion out of the picture
There's no delusion.
real quick.
There's a
There-
lot of
let's-
delusion.
there's
There's
a-
a
let's-
significant amount of
There is
delusion.
realistically
You're
a
saying,
chance.
you'd rather have Manning over someone like Sam Levitt?
Yes.
Okay,
Sam Levitt's gonna.
okay.
Sam Levitt, I think.
You got me there.
Like Arch Manning, like if you're going just for the fact that he's a Manning and just for the fact that maybe there's some luck there, as soon as there's a shroud of like doubt, it's gonna be like
The answer is
The-
Nico Iamale.
You got me there. I don't think I would
But
take
that goes for
Arch
any
Manning.
quarterback if there's any doubt.
But
If
like,
the Giants draft Sanders with their first round pick and he turns out to be a bum, then he's definitely gonna hear it.
I think the worst possible thing that they could
There's
do
so
would
much
be to
emphasis
take
on
Shadur
the
Sanders
bum.
in that.
but like Tommy
The worst
DeVito-
thing they could do would be to take Shadur Sanders because I think
No,
Take Travis Hunter.
he
That's the
needs an
best
offensive
thing.
line. Shadur Sanders needs an offensive line.
Can
so
Travis Hunter play
I would take
offensive
an
line?
offensive lineman in the first and then trade up.
Can
I-
Travis Hunter
I-
play offensive line? I mean, he already plays 2 positions. Why not just?
What is it
throw
with
him
you
the
and
football?
Travis Hunter?
Dude,
Get
you
out.
yeah,
He does everything.
You said that about quarterback earlier too.
I think Travis
Jeez.
Hunter. I'd rather have Travis.
We
Hunter
know
as
who your
my-
Heisman pick is.
Actually, no, it's not. Travis
Well,
Hunter.
okay then.
There
It's
are
Genty.
plenty
You
of
sent in mixed-
rounds in
okay,
the NFL
good man.
draft to worry about offensive alignment. You want the best player at the first round pick.
But like, think
Right now,
about it.
you
I don't
need
mean
to. Right now, you need a quarterback desperately because you're not gonna go into next season with Tommy DeVito or whoever you want.
Drew Lock, baby.
I don't mean to
and
keep
think that
glazing
you guys
Travis
are gonna
Hunter,
make the
but
playoffs.
Would you rather have Travis Hunter or Daniel Jones
Horse
as your
emoji,
quarterback?
rooster emoji, lock emoji.
Would you rather have Travis Hunter or Daniel Jones as your quarterback? Come on.
Drew Lock.
I said Travis Hunter or Daniel
Why,
Jones.
Why is Hunter being
Trey
as
Hunter's
a
not a
quarterback?
quarterback.
But
That's
he
a
plays-
stupid
I
statement.
don't mean to keep glazing Travis Hunter.
No, you do mean to keep
But,
glazing him
like,
because no one else is talking about him, and you keep
But,
bringing him
like,
up.
I'd rather have Travis Hunter than Daniel Jones or Tommy DeVito over
At
Drew
quarterback,
Lock.
no, you
Why?
wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
And then now you're stuck with no quarterbacks.
So
You have
Travis
two
Hunter
good
wouldn't
receivers for
fumble the
who?
ball 20
Two
times
good-
this rookie
I mean,
year.
if he decides he wants
he
to be a
might if he's
receiver.
playing quarterback.
I mean,
You're about to draft two great receivers and have a quarterback that's gonna get them nowhere.
Drew
You need a
Lock,
quarterback.
baby.
you know what?
Give me Drew Lock. Give me Drew Lock.
Drew Lock had those 3 good games in Seattle.
Give me
I
Drew
mean,
Lock.
You know what? Fine.
What
there,
would happen? What
you
would
won
happen if
my
you
vote.
draft Travis Hunter? Is him and Neighbors would both at the same time be like, "Dude, this sucks.
They
Let's
just
leave."
stop playing.
And then
They
they'd
just
leave,
like-
and then they'd go.
They just
And they'd
walk
leave.
off the field
They
one
would
day and
decide.
you never see him again.
Neighbors would wait till Hunter could leave, and then he'd be like, "All right, dude, let's get out of here. Like this is cool.
We'll
Let's
just
leave
together.
though."
Oh man, but like the Giants, I just think like, do you take the risk with drafting a rookie quarterback in a rather not garbage, disappointing class, or do you wait until the future and the
It's
quarterbacks?
not a disappointing class. Okay, let's
who
really
is good
hold on,
in
hold on,
who is a
hold on.
good prospect in this class that
Qu-
realistically has talent?
quarterback wise.
Yes. Besides,
Sanders and Ward, however you say
it's
it.
just Sanders and Ward. That's really it. Like
Moreau or
Milroe's gonna be a
Milroe,
Milroe's
okay,
good.
fine, but like that's really like I just don't see them. Being,
Okay,
like,
but
long-term
let's-
Me
solutions.
personally, I would take either Kelvin Banks or Will Campbell with the first pick. offensive tackles out of
They
either
need
Texas
offense- the Giants-
or
You guys
LSU.
can worry about offensive line throughout the
Kelvin
draft.
Banks and Will Campbell
And
are
then
like
you can-
generational offensive tackles.
Okay, great, but you can not only can you worry about that the rest of the draft, you can worry about that in signing players as well. Like
But
we're
like,
thinking
Will
quarterback.
Johnson's not going to
okay,
be there
but
in the second round. Right?
quarterback.
He's probably a top 15 pick.
That's
though.
fine, but quarterback is the most important position, and you can't guarantee you're gonna find anyone in the trade market or a free agency market. You might as well get the quarterback in the draft
But
and
here's the
develop
thing,
him.
I mean, if you're
that
not
I
you
going to
agree
need
with-
you need to worry about the quarterback now that you
can't-
have no
I'm
Daniel
gonna have to
Jones.
side with Barrett here. You can't put him behind a
You
bad-
can't
put him behind
but
Andrew Thomas.
That
I-
again,
kinda
you
won me
have
over
to
with that.
build
You
the
can't put
offensive
him
line.
behind.
Like I feel like if you're
Just-
not able to get Sanders as the Giants, you should just focus on that offensive line.
That's fine. Now that's a
Drew
that's a
Lock,
good
I mean,
argument
hey.
right there. If you can't get Sanders, sure, go after offensive line or go after.
Sanders is the last
Anyone
quarterback of the top quarterbacks that I would want behind a bad offensive line, though.
You don't
me
want
too.
any
He's-
quarterback
'cause
behind a
it's gonna
bad
look-
offensive
it's-
line.
No, but I would rather have
He would get
a guy like
destroyed. He'd get
Milroe
injured
or,
so
Yeah, he gets
or
destroyed in
Ford.
Colorado all the
or
time.
Dylan Gabriel.
Exactly, but Shadur Sanders would look a lot like he would look worse than Caleb Williams does now because Shadur Sanders is very similar in that he relies so much on running around
Agree.
behind, and it just doesn't work in the NFL if you don't have an offensive line that can block for at least a little bit.
But you have a wide receiver one in Neighbors who needs a quarterback to get him the ball to showcase his talent. You need to worry about that position first, no matter what. Offensive line is, I think,
Well,
easier
I would
to
argue you
build.
don't because Neighbors has had a great season and he had Daniel Jones throwing him the ball. So I think you could argue he doesn't need the quarterback as much to showcase his talent.
I think
but
Drew
now-
Lock
if you
can
have
survive.
if you have a
season.
serviceable quarterback, and the thing is, the Giants aren't gonna if the Giants are gonna draft a quarterback, right? Maybe not in the first. They might take Quinn Ewers in the second, or they might take Carson Beck, or they might take one of the quarterbacks available in the second or third.
Dylan Gabriel maybe.
Dylan Gabriel in the
Milroe.
second or the
Dylan
third.
Gabriel would be
think
really good
Milroe
for
will
the
be that
Giants.
late.
Milroe's gonna go in the first round, but like
Milroe, yeah, definitely.
the thing is, even if they don't draft a quarterback who they think can start right away, they're not going to go into next season with Tommy DeVito as their starting quarterback. They just aren't going to do it.
What about Drew
Someone is
Lock,
going to be
like
there
you
to give
said?
Malik Neighbors the ball. I think you have to go offensive tackle, especially when you have guys like Calvin Banks or Will Campbell who are generational tackles. Generational tackles, in my opinion. And I think giving a young quarterback that confidence in their blind side being protected, and that confidence in, hey, the organization is doing its utmost to protect you and give you all the tools to succeed. We already have a number one receiver. We went out and we spent our top pick on getting you the best offensive lineman we possibly could. I think it's more important to go offensive line for this draft for where the Giants are right now. But that's just my opinion.
See. Oh,
No.
sorry. Sorry, Age. I thought you were gonna talk, but yeah, I think you kind of won me over with that. Like the Giants, you can't put like a really, because think of it. If you draft a rookie, and that rookie gets sacked 1 billion times a game, you're gonna think that the rookie is bad. But meanwhile, realistically, it's on the
It's gonna
offensive
look a
line.
lot like it does with Caleb Williams right now.
Exactly. Like Caleb Williams, if he had a good offensive line, I mean, he has every single weapon he possibly could.
Or like a rookie Deshaun Watson who got sacked a record amount of times because he very similar mold, I think, to Shadur Sanders.
Yeah.
I think this is a comp that just came to my brain, but both very reliant on making using their legs to make plays behind the line of scrimmage, and Caleb Williams as well. But when you're in the NFL, these edge rushers are so athletic that you don't have 7-8 seconds to run around behind the line. You have 4 seconds.
And you got
And if
like
you have a bad offensive line who, if your offensive line can't hold a guy for 2 seconds, it doesn't matter how much you can run around. You're gonna get hit.
yeah, exactly. Like I think instead of drafting Rome Dunze, the Bears should have taken Olu Fashano because they needed that offensive line. But instead, you give Caleb Williams another weapon. You already have DJ Moore. You already have Keenan Allen, who they got pretty much for a bag of chips and an apple.
You got Cole Kmet, who's a good tight end.
Cole Kmet is solid. I mean, the tight ends have been a little.
It's been a rough year for
been
tight
a rough
ends.
year for tight ends.
Unless you're Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers has been really, really good. Helped out my fantasy team.
Generational season for a tight end. Not even just a rookie tight end.
Oh,
Generational
100
for any tight end.
Probably the best tight end so far this year, I would argue. But like, you kind of talk about like, I still think that the Bears should have taken an offensive lineman because Caleb Williams has so many weapons. Like, imagine if Justin Fields had Olu Fashano, and then plus you have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, and you have an okay defense, and then you, instead of drafting Caleb, you keep Justin Fields, draft Marvin Harrison Jr., and then you get an offensive lineman. Imagine the Bears right now. I think they would be better with Fields, Harrison, and
an
Fashano.
offensive lineman, yep.
Fashano than
And
what they have right now.
That same conversation, like that, the meme graphic with Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you have an elite receiver and elite quarterback if there's no one to block, right?
Exactly.
If you have 1.5 seconds to throw the ball, it doesn't matter because no one's going to be able to get open.
Especially like with Abdul Carter, who's probably the best linebacker in the class. And plus you have these generational tackles. Like, you need someone that could stop an Abdul Carter, like someone like you said, like we have all these generational tackles. Like, I don't think the Giants should pick a quarterback. Maybe if Quinn Ewers is available in the second, or I don't know what ESPN or whatever where Ewers is projected, but correct me if I'm wrong, second round, like maybe middle of the second round, you get Quinn Ewers, but then in the first round, you use your high pick on a lineman.
I think it's a pretty deep quarterback draft class in which I'm not in love, married to any of the top guys. I'm not like, if you don't get them, you should be fired. It's GM malpractice. But I think some of these later guys, I think you could get definite steals. I think are very serviceable. Could be quarterbacks, for your team for the next 10 years. Some of these second, third round, day 2 guys at quarterback. So I think this is definitely a draft where if you can get one of those top 2 offensive tackles, I think you take them.
100%.
If you're the Giants, because I think you're in a situation where you don't necessarily need the next Peyton Manning. You need the next Eli Manning. Which is a Quinn Ewers type, which is a quarterback who's going to win me games. He's going to be safe with the football. And, if he needs to, he can be Superman, but it doesn't need to be Superman every game.
Yeah, 100%. In order to have a good quarterback, you need a good offensive line. So if you can get Will Campbell in the first round and then get Quinn Ewers, the Giants could realistically have the best draft. Imagine if you get Will Campbell, who's a generational offensive tackle, and then you get Quinn Ewers, who's a solid second-round guy. Like, the Giants can have something going. Maybe not make the playoffs and win the Super Bowl, but maybe not be 2-8, dead last in your own division, looking forward to a top 5 pick.
Well, the fact that we just did 10 minutes of draft talk in November is very sad. So to bring the depressing football talk to a close, we will look to the other side of this break where we'll discuss some of the more exciting stories in the NFL. No more New York football. Keep it right here on 90.7 and the WFUV Sports YouTube channel. We'll see you.
What's up, everyone? I'm Will Talent.
And I'm Evan Harkin. We're 2 of your hosts for NFL Friday, WFUV Sports' exclusive NFL podcast.
From breaking down the weekly slate to fantasy football pickups, we've got you covered on all things around the NFL.
Stay tuned for our hosts' weekly picks as they compete against each other all season long.
Football is here, and so is NFL Friday.
channeling my inner Pat McAfee here as I bring you back to our final segment of the day. Welcome back, friends, to the longest-running sports call-in show in all of New York. Feel free to chime in on our discussion by calling 718-817-2750. I will now put away my arms because nobody wants to look at that all day. It's time for a little bit of NFL talk. So, send it over to Max. Start us off. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to take us?
Oh, we got to start with the Bills, don't we?
We got to start with the Bills. I love that. Take us to the Bills. Take us up north, where I bet it's really cold right now.
It's probably so freezing.
Probably.
I mean, beat the Chiefs last week. I thought it was a great game. Finally kind of having their payback, which was, I think they were looking for the last couple of years. I don't really know. I think the Bills are looking really good. I really like them going in. What is this? Week 12 is what
I mean,
it
was a huge win. They won, so obviously the Chiefs lost, but then also the Ravens lost. So
really,
a lot of ground gain in that AFC.
Yeah,
right there.
genuinely pushed them forward. I think if they can, just win out obviously would help them. But
that would probably help every team, unless you're like the
winning,
Giants or the Jets.
Winning this
losing out
game,
would be better.
do they play the Chiefs again?
No.
No, yeah. So
Not
winning
in the
this
same
game,
division.
if for
Yeah.
whatever reason they had a tie,
It would be the tiebreaker. Yeah,
they would have the tiebreaker, which is huge, as we know, especially in the NFL when it comes to home field advantage. I think this was a big win. Josh Allen, I love you. And now they're looking forward. I think they have a bye this week, so they're off this week. And then I think it was a great, well-deserved rest after beating the Chiefs and doing everyone everyone was happy. I think if you looked at it, it'd be everyone versus the Chiefs in that game.
The Chiefs and their devil magic. Yeah.
I was
don't know.
actually thinking I
It's,
kind of
the Chiefs devil magic. Is it over? Who knows? Are the Panthers going to keep it rolling? Everyone was talking. The Panthers are going to be the one to do it.
I really
Obviously
wish
not
I
the
was
Bills
rooting.
did it.
The only reason
It
why
would have been nice if the Panthers were the only loss the Chiefs had all season. That'd be really
Yeah.
funny. But I mean, they aren't. They're going to be their second loss of the season. So let's go, Bryce Young. How about it? But Josh Allen, I think he's hanging in there in that MVP race. I mean, he's miles behind, but he's miles ahead of everybody else. But I think it's a one-man Lamar show. If Lamar keeps playing the way he's playing, I mean, he's putting up.
Just looking at that
numbers.
the running touchdown that Josh Allen had, it was
beautiful.
He's
Lamar
he's
Jackson-esque.
so good. Like, he does not care if he gets hit.
No,
he actually doesn't get hit.
He is
hits
also
people.
6'5", 250. So
I think he
either, to be
wants to hit
honest.
someone. Like, I think he prefers to have
I think he'd
contact.
rather hurdle them.
Yeah.
I feel like he's
just waiting to get that hurdle.
He's like
in
that
there.
kid in high school football practice who always hurdles in practice, and the coaches yell at him stay on your feet, don't leave the ground, and he's always trying to hurdle in practice, and he's getting lit up, and he's like, I'm gonna pull this out in game one time, but your 5-star defensive lineman lights him up in practice every single time, and your coach is like, stop doing that, we're running half speed, stop trying to hurdle people. And he just keeps on doing it, and I feel like that's Josh Allen mentally, and he's going to do it one day in game, and he's going to get lit up, but it's going to look so cool, and then he's going to get up and start screaming in your face.
I don't know how many people could lit him up, though, or light him up.
Or it's
I don't
gonna
know.
be like that
I
thing
don't
where
know.
Chad Ocho was saying. Remember, he jumped over the dude and
Yeah.
did a full-on front flip.
Yeah, no,
It
he's
lands
gonna
in the end zone. That's gonna happen.
When you're in the air.
I don't know if he could do
Could that just happen in the Super Bowl?
I don't know.
like
Josh Allen's
Allen
going to do
just-
something really stupid. He's going to get lit up. He's going to get up and start screaming in your face and act like you're the one who just got lit up, and you're going to be like, what just happened? And then all of a sudden, he's got 4 touchdowns and 350 yards on you, and you're like, what just happened? It's been 10 minutes. Oh, no.
This is just a random thought.
I don't know. I'm in
Wouldn't
Josh
it-
Allen fantasy land right now.
Wouldn't it be awesome to see him and Bryson DeChambeau together, just hanging out?
I don't know, but speaking of Bryson DeChambeau, does he break a window first or make the shot? Make his
He's
hole in
gotten
one of his
so
house?
close.
Day seven, it was 3 inches away from.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably get in day 2, but that's just me. You know what I mean? I think he breaks a window. I think he just one day he just.
I mean, he
absolutely-
literally lives in a glass house and he's hitting golf balls at it.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Bryson DeChambeau is trying to get a hole in one by hitting the golf ball over his house into his hole that he has in his backyard. It's been 10
There was
days
that one.
now.
There was that one guy who tried to copy it,
And
and then he pulls his car in front
Yeah,
and hits it.
he's like,
And the
'Cause I'm not
first
scared.
ball
And
hits
then he
him
moves
straight
his
into the
car
car,
back.
and then he
Yeah.
moves it back. Anyways, we're getting the.
Speaking of
the god,
cars,
Bryson DeChambeau.
speaking of cars, I want to talk about the Chargers, which is actually not what their mascot is, but a Charger is a car. So, just a little
was a good
play on
transition. I like
words.
that.
That's a solid transition. I like it.
They they don't call me Shakespeare for no reason. The Chargers are playing the Ravens. We got a little Harbaugh showdown in prime time this week. And the Chargers, the thing about the Chargers, it's always been, they had that year where they had the number one offense and the number one defense, and they missed the playoffs. I mean, that kind of just sums up.
Wait, wasn't that the year where they blew a 28?
That was in 2014 when they had literally.
2014.
They had the best offense in the league, the best defense in the league, but literally dead last in special teams, so they missed the playoff. That was with Phillip Rivers, and then then they had, the year where all they had to do was tie.
Right, but they kicked. I think they kicked the field goal.
They kicked the field goal, and then
Raiders missed the playoffs. Steelers made the playoffs.
Yeah, and you were like, "What are you doing?" And then, the Chargers are going to charge her, but it feels like this year they finally turned it around. Justin Herbert is, he's always been getting the recognition. He's always been the what if guy, but this year the results are actually coming. John Harbaugh he's working wonders. That ultimate football guy. Yeah. Like if you put me in a room with John Harbaugh and John Gruden. I don't know if you follow John Gruden on TikTok, but that guy makes you want to run through a wall. If you put those two in a room with you, I think you all at the end of the day are just running Oklahoma drills at each other and just like running into each other because you're so jacked up on football and like you're just like screaming plays and you're like, why two right banana or something.
Did you mean John Gruden or did you mean Barstool John Gruden?
Barstool John Gruden. Barstool John Gruden. Yes, sorry.
He's
Barstool
now
Gruden.
Barstool John Gruden.
But the Harbaugh brothers go at it. Baltimore and the Chargers go at it. Harbaugh's in prime time. I know a lot of Ravens fans are not happy with their personal Harbaugh right now. They're not necessarily fans of the way the offense has been running, or the defense has been going. But hey, you have the best quarterback in the league this year, so I don't think you can complain too much, Baltimore Ravens fans. So there's that. But I do think the Chargers are going to win this weekend.
They should have put this game on Thanksgiving, just because Thanksgiving, you're with family.
You're with family,
and then you have the families, like the Harbaugh family.
And John Gruden's,
I understand.
John Harbaugh's on the sideline with his gloves and his cleats on, fully sprinting down the sidelines, like screaming at people.
I understand you have to make the Cowboys the main game of Thanksgiving every year, but let's
bad.
Stop.
The Giants
stop
are
doing
gonna
that.
No, I'm just kidding.
This
The
is
Giants can win. The Giants can win. Cooper Rush, you never know. I don't know if it gets worse than Cooper Rush, but
it doesn't. He's horrible.
So the
Daniel
Giants
Jones,
might actually win.
I do. No, Tommy DeVito's pretty bad.
Drew Lock will get subbed in the middle of the game.
His agent is a stud.
Didn't he fire him?
Did he fire him?
The Italian
I think
dude?
he fired the Italian guy.
I don't know.
Don't know
to be honest, but he was. I remember. I think Tommy V was second or third game. The opposing team was just clowning them in the stands, they were on the road, and people were dressing up
Tommy
as
Cutlets,
as Tommy Cutlets' agent, and we're doing this every third down, just it was so funny. But I really hope they didn't fire him. He seems like a pretty cool guy.
Also, a little throwback to earlier in this episode. I think his agent / former agent / unknown guy is good friends with Rick Pitino.
So you don't want to get rid of him.
You don't want to get rid of him.
You may
he'll get rid of you.
You may get a call the next morning something happened.
Who knows?
Have you seen his sand football highlights? His agent, not agent, former agent.
Isn't he really good at football? I think.
Wasn't he a really good D3 football player or something like that?
There's highlight reels of him one hand catching it in the sand football flag football leagues.
Yeah.
With, the celebrity games. I don't know how he was in those, but the celebrity games. This was before he was
it was always who is this guy? Why is he in all of this?
It was
stuff?
before that he got popular last year. It was just him one hand catches in the sand.
Maybe bro was just Odell before Odell.
Maybe I don't know.
I can't believe you said that as a Giants fan.
Odell is still one of the top 5 receivers of the 2010s. I will stand by that take from now until I die. He is a top 5 wide receiver of the 2010s. There's only very few guys I would take over. But anyway, back to general NFL because we just
DeAndre Hopkins, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones. 2010s. AJ Green maybe.
I don't. DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green a little suspect.
DeAndre Hopkins being suspect is crazy. He was the best receiver in the league for 3 years in a row.
I'd say Antonio Brown's probably the best receiver of the 2010s, or Calvin Johnson, but he didn't really play.
I don't know if you
Do you
can
count Calvin
Johnson?
Johnson?
In 2013. That's 3 years of the 2010s.
But you can't really disrespect Calvin Johnson.
No, he's one of the greatest receivers of all time, but I don't know if he's one of the greatest receivers of the 2010s.
He just got wasted. That's really.
He just didn't play very long into the 2010s. But Antonio Brown, best receiver of the decade. Julio Jones, probably number 2. DeAndre Hopkins would be my number
Imagine
3.
Julio Jones actually scored more touchdowns.
Yeah, if Julio Jones scored touchdowns, he's probably the best receiver of all time. I mean, he was insane. But, I mean, he was the classic, you get 150 yards on 10 catches and you have no touchdowns.
You get 0 touchdowns.
You finished the year with 1,700 yards and, 85 receptions in, 3 touchdowns. Like, what are you doing? But that's Julio Jones, and that's the Falcons. That's Matt Ryan for you, honestly.
And now he's on, I don't even know
He
what
should have bet on games like Calvin Ridley. Who knows? Other fun things around the league. The Lions are electric. I don't know. They score 50 points a game. They throw 50 picks a game and still win. They have the 2 best running backs in the league.
Jared Goff doubled his interception count.
I miss when they were bad. I miss when they were terrible.
I don't know.
They were an easy win every year.
I don't know. I love Dan Campbell.
How do you have Calvin
former Saints defensive coordinator, former Texas A&M fighting Texas Aggie. Great guy, Dan Campbell. He bites kneecaps. He runs through walls. He's a dog. You got Sonic and Knuckles in the backfield. Dogs. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Dog. You got Aiden Hutchinson. He's on the IR, but dog. You got Alex Anzalone, also now on the IR. Dog. Former Saint. Shout out. A lot of dogs on that team.
Genuinely looking at, if I'm looking at the Packers' remaining schedule, that game, they're going to get smoked.
Against the Lions?
Against Lions. I think they beat the 49ers. I think they beat the Dolphins.
I do too.
I think they beat the Seahawks.
I do too.
I think it's a close game against the Saints. I think
what? They better blow up the Saints. The Saints are horrible.
It's the Packers.
They better beat.
They don't blow up the horrible teams. Vikings they beat. Bears they beat. I think they lose by 25 to the Lions.
25. So that means they're going to score 25 too, because it's going to be 50 to 25. Because
game,
that's the Lions only drop 50 bombs.
It's either they drop 50 bombs or they drop 6 points.
But the Packers, they'll do that, but they'll score all 25 in the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
I don't know. We're down a producer too. I don't know where he went, but that's not really that important. The Cowboys hopefully looking to stop the suck. Oh, he's back. The Cowboys looking to stop the suck. The game is on the road, but they are playing the Commanders, and I fully expect Jane Daniels to put up maybe 400 yards, maybe 6 touchdowns. Hopefully, because I really need a fantasy win, and he's my quarterback in all 3 of my leagues.
Me
and
too.
I need a fantasy win. I've lost 7 games in a row in one of my leagues.
Oh my gosh,
It's
I've lost
bad.
I've
I was 4-0, and now I'm literally dead last in the league.
I've lost
What
one game.
happened?
I've lost one. Jane Daniels has kind of carried my fantasy team. I'm so glad I passed on Marvin Harrison Jr. He's been so inconsistent.
Yeah. But hey, the Cardinals have looked really good actually though. Kyler Murray managed to outlast the Black Ops curse, the Call of Duty curse. He's actually
he survived the update night.
Yeah, you think he plays? I think he might not be playing this year. Who knows? But he does have all.
Wasn't there a clause in his
stuff.
contract where he couldn't play? He only had a certain amount of hours he was allowed to play, and then a certain amount of hours he was allowed to read the playbook and watch film.
Yeah. Speaking of Kyler Murray only having a certain amount of hours, we too only have a certain amount of hours, and unfortunately, we are at the end of that. It's just about all of the time we have on this lovely Saturday. I know, it's very sad. For the last couple of hours, you have been listening to Bradley Birne and Max Spitza. You heard our producer, Angel Ducret, chime in a couple of times, and the stunning graphics you saw on the YouTube were done by Mr. Luis Andrade. As always, none of this would be possible without the stupendous Bobby Chaffardini. I am Barret Spitzer, and it has been an absolute pleasure to bring you one-on-one New York's longest-running sports call-in show here on 90.7 WFUV Sports.